I feel in many black people experience when they're tired of negative behavior that seems to drag down the community. But we're also going to look at the bigger picture. How do we move forward from this fatigue and what's holding us back as a group?
JR, I think you got feedback on your mic.
That's Corey. Corey just mute in between.
Okay.
All right. And what's holding us back as a group? We're going to have a real discussion, and I want everyone to participate. Don't hold nothing back, y'all. Don't hold nothing back. Let's make sure we go ahead and have this discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and run this clip just to give you guys an overview of the conversations that's been had thus far and that's been spreading across the media. Here we go.
Is the thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people. And black people don't want to live around ratchet black people. I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended. And that's anywhere you go, no matter what. They're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied. And you wonder why normal, good black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful.
There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But the interesting part is the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our skin dictates the content of our character. That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole. And that's why there's individuals who are black who do and can have black fatigue because they see how damaging it is to see the worst of us attract all this negative attention that then unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often. But what's unfortunate is here in 2025, now we have to contend with the fact that there's people who are so sick and tired of seeing those negative aspects, those negative individuals in the black community attracting all this attention. That's what is spurring this black fatigue.
So there's this term that's going around called black fatigue. And what black fatigue is, you are tired of certain black behaviors in the black community that needs to be addressed. It is literally making you tired at this point. When it comes to black on black crime, upholding things that are not right in the black community, like baby mama culture and the rap culture that we have now, gang violence, all of these things that are horrible for the black community. My main one is thinking that you are oppressed in America when a lot of black people have so many opportunities in America that it doesn't make any sense. There are black doctors, black lawyers, black content creators, black entrepreneurs, and honestly, it is ridiculous how much black people have an advantage in America. Literally at this moment in 2025. There are black celebrities that are going on the red carpet at the Met Gala and all these things and telling you that you're oppressed while they sit and have neighbors, white neighbors, in their $1 million mansions. It's tiring. It's absolutely tiring to have to go on a platform and tell you you're not oppressed. Get a job, get a life, get all the things that you need to get together. You're not oppressed. You have the opportunity to get your life together, especially right now in 2025.
I've been had black fatigue. Well, nigga fatigue. I love black people. See, it's a difference between niggas and black people. You understand? And what it should be called is nigga fatigue. Because even black people have nigga fatigue. You understand? The ghetto ratchet bullshit. All the ignorant stuff that these people stand for. All the ignorant stuff that these people defend. All the weird shit that these people say. All the victimization and acceptance of the bigotry of low expectations and all the Stockholm syndrome and all that shit like that, all the random acts of violence that people want to ignore because it's black on black, which they also want to ignore and just say it's proximity crime, but no, it's black on black crime. It's an epidemic. Black fatigue is some real shit, and y'all are getting what the fuck y'all wanted to get when y'all wanted to perpetuate racism, because nobody in America is perpetuating racism but black people. Get out of your neighborhood and out from around all the rest of the bullshit people that you fuck with to understand the reality of what's going on in the world. And what you will see is that it's people that look like me that's perpetuating racism, because white people don't give a fuck. They not running around talking about what our hairstyles are and you can't wear this and you can't wear that and you can't say this and you can't say that. It's weird, bro. It's weird. And it's over. It's over because y'all ain't ready for what you asking for. You're not ready for that race war. While y'all flapping y'all trap and waiting on the white man to give you what you need to jump off a race war, them white boys in the motherfucking woods doing calisthenics and running drills and shooting and throwing knives and learning how to live off the land, they ready for that. Y'all not ready for that, bro. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all just talking a bunch of shit, and that goes to show your privilege and how spoiled the black community has become. Period. I don't see no white privilege. That's black privilege everywhere I see. You understand? It's a lot of degenerate shit going on between both races, though, especially with the Carmelo Anthony thing. That was some degenerate punk bullshit. He's a coward, period. I don't give a fuck. He's a fucking coward. Justice to all slain children. And as far as like Shiloh Hendricks, she's fucking trash. I'm sorry, she's trash. If they want to get behind trash, that's on them. But I don't blame them because they just saw a bunch of people who look like me get behind a trash ass person too. And they just as tired of it as anybody else because the racism has been towards them for the past few decades. But you still want to say it's towards you when it's not. When you have the privilege, you don't even know that you have the privilege. You don't even know that you had reparations. We've been had reparations. And to tell the truth, the United States does not even owe us reparations. Africa owes our ancestors reparations. But you want to pass on that because Africa is black people. I think y'all scared of white people. Because it's been many times in the hood where, you know, some white cops did something and then one of you fools came and killed a black person behind it. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. It's time for shit to change. It's time to move forward. Don't nobody give a fuck about no slavery. Don't nobody give a fuck about no past. We have a future and we not even concentrating on it. Period. I said what I said. Say what the fuck you want to say about me. Get mad and talk shit. I don't give a damn. I want all the smoke because I have black fatigue too, and so do the rest of the black people. Tired of it, dude. We tired of y'all representing for us because y'all don't speak for us. Y'all don't think like we think. Y'all don't do what we do. As a matter of fact, you do us worse than you do white people because we're in proximity to your bullshit. I don't know. I said what the fuck I said.
All right. The idea of black fatigue suggests that some black people are tired of the behavior they see within their own community. Do you think this is valid, or are we just pointing fingers at the wrong people? Anybody kick it off? Go ahead, Marcus.
Why you pick me? Because you know my opinion on these coon ass niggas. Hey, I ain't really got that much to say. Buddy ass a whole goofy. He is super goofy. Going backwards, forwards. What we really got is fatigue for niggas who wasn't accepted. That's what that should be. You wasn't accepted. You ain't get loved by your family, by your brother. The girl you like didn't want to fuck with you. You talked a certain way, so niggas looked at you weird in the hood. Then you start holding animosity. You might have said some slick shit, got beat up once or twice, went home and said, fuck these Negroes, I'm never gonna powered up like the fucking Hulk. Study really, really hard, moved around white people, seeing they didn't fully accept you. So you tried to assimilate as hard as you fucking could. It didn't work. Then you thought maybe we can relate by me trying to bash black Americans. Let me get on this tail. Maybe they'll see I'm one of the good ones. Newsflash, douchebag. We gonna all be in the same boat at the end of the day when it comes to that specific subject. So if he was saying he tired of some of the shit black people do, yeah, well, you get tired of things people do. Blame that on the individual or that individual subgroup. To just blanket it across black Americans, that nigga can suck my dick. All of them. You could tell him I said it. I got fatigue of cooning. I got fatigue of tethering. I got fatigue of racist ass white people. How about that? Was that what you wanted, JR? That what you was asking for?
I just was asking for your POV, sir. Go ahead, Corey. What's your thoughts about it, man? That question I asked you another question. Why is it that when some people in the black community try to move forward or do things differently, they're often labeled as acting white? Do you think this hurts us more than it helps?
I think that we have a serious lack of self-awareness in the black community. I think obviously we're divided, and that's by design. And unless we put our heads together to come up with solutions to these very real problems, they'll persist and continue to eat at the fabric of our community. That's how I feel. Now, as far as black fatigue is concerned, I don't like when people put us in a box. We're not a monolith. Yes, there are some people who I do have issues with their behavior. But that doesn't apply to all black people. Unfortunately, the ones who are misrepresenting us, they tend to get the most exposure. They tend to get the most attention, the most camera time. And so that's what people see. But that's a misrepresentation of who we are as a people. And I wish that there was more attention given to the black men and women who are doing amazing things, because there are many of us doing amazing things. I wish that they would get more attention instead of the ones who obviously are not. So I just believe it's a matter of one group receiving more attention, and again, that's by design, than the other. I'd like to see more balance.
All right. Some say that negative behavior, like baby mama culture or the glorification of violence in rap music, is holding the entire community back. How do we address this issue without attacking the people involved?
You want me to answer that question?
I mean, it's open for the panel. If you want to answer, you can.
Look, here's the thing, right? So black culture, I'd like to ask all of you, how would you define black culture in modern society today? How would you define it?
It's an offshoot of pre-American census 1860 blacks and the culmination of historical precedent leading up to it. So it has historical relevance leading back to the first portion of the ethnogenesis that changed us from native to Negro to colored to black to African American now, whatever. And it's jazz, it's R&B, it's scholars, it's ratchet shit. It's a culmination of a whole lot of different things rolled into one. It gets convoluted when people use terms like this just urban culture. This, because what they do is they convolute the terms and then they just blanket and say all black women do this and all black men do this, when they really talking about all black men on the west side of Chicago feel this way, or all black men who wear red hats that only go to the left feel this way. All black men that wear blue hats that go to the right feel this way. But they not nuanced enough to understand that they speaking to a specific group when they say certain things. Like, yeah, I think Miles Davis and Glorilla are black culture. I think W.E.B. Du Bois and Tyler Perry is, unfortunately, they black. It's all a culmination of these things. It's excellence, it's greatness, and it's red. And it's some riders, and it's some sorry punk motherfuckers too. It's a gang of different shit. We are a wide burst, a wide range of a spectrum of excellence to some bullshit. When I think black culture, that's what I think about.
Anybody else want to answer this question? You want to repeat the question again?
How can we, or how do we define black culture in modern society? The answer that I was given was tremendous. And I agree with you. It really is sort of an amalgamation of all of that. But what I have noticed, unfortunately, is that the You mentioned baby mama culture. You mentioned hip hop, rap music, all of which I embrace, all of which I listen to. I do think to some degree it's having a negative impact on our youth and on future generations. I think that that should be addressed. We can't ignore the fact that our youth in particular are influenced by what they hear in these songs and what they see on television, on billboards. Imagery is important. And I do think that we, as men, as leaders, should definitely address the negativity that's often recycled in rap music and perpetuated in a lot of things that we consume on a daily basis. That can't be ignored.
I think really brought up a good point too, or a question off of that is what are we what's the definition of culture? Like what definition of it are we using to answer this question?
Ooh, y'all quiet tonight. Y'all.
So, I feel like anything that we do.
We've been the only, me and Corey, the only people that was talking. We was giving other people a chance to jump in. We don't hog the microphone.
I feel like anything we do is considered. This microphone, can y'all hear me? Or y'all just talking?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like anything we do is considered Black culture. Anything, whether it's negative or positive, it all falls under that statement, that word, Black culture. So that's my opinion about it. But let me finish. Let me go ahead and speak on this. Look here, I got degenerate fatigue. I'm tired of ninjas. I don't say that at N-word. That's not my thing. But yeah, we tired of it. We teach our kids early to be tired of it. That's why you don't want your kids around these bad kids. When you see these goddamn bad kids, you be the first one to talk. You're acting and moving just like what you've seen in that video, whether you want to admit it or not. Now, we might not be saying all the words and use some of the phrases they're saying, but we're doing the same thing. We just saying it. They're saying it out loud. We're saying it in our head. We don't put it out there. One of our problems is back in the days, our grandfathers and our grandmothers had no problem with shaming motherfuckers. Now we scared. We scared to talk about it. No, we are talking about it. Girl, you see how she dressed the other day out there in that goddamn store with that goddamn bonnet on? Man, you see that dude walking around with his pants hanging down? We talk like that amongst us, amongst your little family, the circle you with it. But we ain't going up, young man. Do you think that's the good look you trying to put out there, dog, with your ass hanging out, with shit stains showing? Baby girl, you walk around with these fuzzy ass slippers, walking through with these stank ass pajamas knowing you ain't washed your goddamn ass, wearing this bonnet. Do you think that's a good look for you, young lady? No, we're not doing that, though. So we're not helping. We're part of the problem. I said it before. If you're not addressing it, you're part of the problem. If we're not bringing it to the forefront, we're part of the problem. So when we're going to actually not be mad and call these people coons and all that shit, trying to do what we can so these so-called coons don't have something to talk about. But we're not. We give them fuel and ammunition. We're doing just the opposite. So we need to start shaming these people, making them feel some type of way. Like I said, back in the days, you could be no gay ass person walking down the street without somebody saying some shit to you. Now, your pastor gay, your choir director, your auntie's a whole bulldagger, and y'all all together at the Thanksgiving table. Y'all ain't saying that like that. Y'all ain't saying, yeah, well, I can't have you at my house because we don't preach that. You're not bringing that shit around my kids. You're not putting that message. We're not doing that. Now, what are we doing? Because we scared? Because we spineless? I don't know why we're not doing that no goddamn more. But we need to do a better job. I'll leave it there.
Marcus, you want to respond?
I forgot. He threw me off with the last one. I forgot what I was saying. My brain went blank. I don't know. What was it? Damn. Yeah. Oh, it was something about calling them coons.
I'll talk when my baby gone, because hey, he ain't the president right now, even though he don't be having my back. Hey, you a dirty dog, but I'm still gonna vote for you for president, though.
Hey, I think that I think our biggest problem is that the generalization of it. Every culture has ratchets, degenerates, trash, whatever the case may be, but everyone within those cultures, I feel like they distance themselves from with the white people, the trailer trash, with Mexicans, whatever slur it is that they use, even with Asians are extremely tight knit. So I'm quite positive that they have a culture within their culture that that they don't agree with and that they shame. But I think for us, we embrace all of it, and I think that that's the downfall of it. Is when we embrace all of it, it makes it look like it's a part of our culture when it's actually not. It's a part of a subculture within the culture. So I think if we stop generalizing it and saying that we have black fatigue as if it's all black people, when we all know that it's a specific group that's in the culture that's doing it.
Well, if I can add something real quick, I don't know if you guys heard about this story, but the CEO of Lululemon said that their clothes aren't for people like us, black people. He was very open about it, very honest about it. And so to protest what he said, there was a group of black women who put on the clothes, went to the nearest Lululemon, and they twerked inside of the store and recorded themselves doing it, twerking on the floor, shaking their ass. Now, when I saw it, I immediately thought to myself, this is a bad look. But the fact that they reacted in that way, I think speaks to a larger issue. There's a disconnect somewhere. Parents need to do a better job. Our churches need to do a better job. The pillars of our community need to be reinforced and rebuilt, because it seems like it's the youth displaying this, I would call it toxic, reckless behavior, more than the OGs, more than those of us who were born in a different time. We need to address the youth and try to reprogram them so that this doesn't continue in the future. I think that is the main issue. That's what I'm seeing from my youth.
Corey, the youth will shoot you.
I'm sorry?
The youth will shoot you. They ain't listening to you.
Absolutely.
There's untapped potential to the question being asked. There's hope and also despair wrapped up in the same parallel. Mm-hmm. We can't say it's a monolith. We see great things. We're the author of things that shake and move within culture and society. But then again, we're the blight and scourges of most of the ghettos and the things that are projected within these screens, the sexy reds, the little drill rappers, the messages that's being conveyed. Show your body, get your bag, shoot that Negro. It's a mix. We're lost. What can you do? The parents now don't have the fundamental values of the days of yore, because everything is soft now. You hear Big Brother Hank talk about the standard set. No sissies in my house. But if you go to work, there's a code of conduct that you take for 45 minutes. Where now Jim comes in tomorrow and he's Jessica, and you have to use your pronouns for fear that you keep your job. You're forced to live their illusion with them. It's the type of world we in right now. You try to lace up your boots and put down old school values, you get that knock on the door by police or protesters. I don't care. I'll fight it to the bitter end. They'll throw you under the jail to push the agenda that they're having. Correct it. Is this world still saving? Is it worth saving? You think people lock arms and do what they did in Soweto and other places? Are they gonna march on the monument and change and make monumental change? Everybody's so selfish. We could talk up on this little forum right here. Guess what? By the time these people fall asleep, it's rinse and repeat. They're back at their day.
So
I dropped it there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. In response to that, then I have to ask you all a question then. Because we've been we're like the children of Israel, if you will, right? We're searching for the promised land. We have been since Dr. King was alive. So I have to ask you all of this question. Can we get there collectively as a group, as a unit, or should individual people start to look at themselves and say, hey, you know what? I need to make some changes to myself, to my family, to the people around me. Can we get there together, or should individual people start looking at themselves and make changes themselves?
Yeah, I think
what
the good Lord told us we all ain't gonna make it, and we gotta accept that. We gotta let these degenerates die off. We have to. Not everybody's gonna make it. Unfortunately, I know it hurts some of you ladies because y'all mothers and y'all got that good soft heart, fellas. Y'all know we all ain't gonna make it. Never had when we went to war. We all never made it. So we can't. This is a war within our own community. We're not gonna make it. So what do we need to do? Get a hold of them young boys who's willing to listen. Every child that comes through, we need to sit down and have an intervention with them and their parents. Evaluate them. If these young boys and young girls are ready to listen, pull them in. If they're not, let them go. Put them on an island somewhere. I don't give a shit what you do with them. Let them be, because they're not ready. Now, maybe when they're ready, they have a change of heart, a change of mindset. Maybe when they fall far enough, or get locked up way too many times to the point where maybe they not getting out, maybe they'll get right. Maybe they'd be willing to get right. But if they're not, then let them stay where they lay.
See, I must be a coon. I'm just going to say it. According to Marcus, I'm a coon. Marcus didn't call me a coon directly, but I'm a coon according to Marcus, because I agree with 100% of what that last dude in the video said. There ain't one word that I would change about what he said. See, I'm tired of niggas. I hate niggas. I got nigga fatigue. I've been having nigga fatigue for a long time. See, unlike y'all, I hate niggas. I hate them with a passion. I wish they get purged. See, the problem is, and Hink said it before I could say it, we the problem. Because niggas don't misrepresent us. We allow niggas to be our spokespeople. Look, Lil Uzi Vert speaks for us. He a nigga. 21 Savage speak for us. He a nigga. Kendrick Lamar speak for us. He a nigga. All of these niggas is niggas. But because he's black man, he rich, he got money, he famous, he got influence. Y'all think them niggas got swag. Y'all niggas think they got charisma. Y'all be up here sounding like niggas.
For the record, I love niggas.
For the record, I love
niggas. I'm going on that island.
Hey, Marcus, it's not for me to decide who you like, sir. You can like whoever you like. I know y'all like niggas and y'all like hoes. And because y'all like niggas and hoes, this ain't never gonna change. You niggas, the ones who like niggas is niggas. Marcus is a self-proclaimed nigga now because he like niggas. So Marcus is a nigga. I like Marcus, but Marcus is a nigga. Niggas need to be purged. Now, I would hate to see my man Marcus purged because I think Marcus got I think he's a fair guy. He seemed to have good insight, but he got this propensity to side with niggas. So we gotta throw that nigga overboard too.
Hey, so Will, so you're saying that there's no such thing as a charismatic nigga?
Go ahead. What you say, Biz?
So you saying there's no charismatic niggas out there? That's what you're saying.
I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that.
So
at
what
all.
you bringing up charisma for?
Because you think I mentioned famous niggas. Right? And you think
This
all
guy
things,
here is diabolical, bro.
I think because I think Biz give everybody with charisma a pass. Like, you got charisma, you can stay. We need to throw Biz on that damn boat too and throw him overboard.
No, hell no. I ain't never say that.
You didn't say that. I don't want to put no words in your mouth. You did not say that. I'm just saying you align with they celebrities. They got charisma. So it's just like, hey, at the end of the day, like I said, Hink don't be rocking with me. Hink don't be agreeing with everything I say, and I hate it. I wish Hink agreed with everything I said, but I'm gonna vote Hink for president. I think me and Hink should start our own country, and we should start off by purging niggas. And if Hink is down with that, then I'm down with it, because I think all rappers now, all of them, as much as we love rap music, as much as rap music has been so influential to our culture, I think all rappers, Christian rappers, secular rappers, as much as I love Christian hip hop, I think Christian hip hop is amazing. I think we need to get rid of rap genre. The rap genre has to go. The rap genre.
Mark, you gonna let me get this off?
Huh?
I say, is Mark gonna let you get this off?
Mark is a former battle rapper. So if he's reformed, we'll keep him. If Mark want to hold on to nostalgia, throw that nigga away too.
But the trouble you gonna have is trying to throw a nigga like me away is gonna be proven way more difficult than niggas think. So you could try, but the reality of it is, ain't no nigga nowhere throwing me nowhere. They're gonna get thrown a bullet. So let's put that out there.
Okay,
but
Mark,
go ahead, gang. You got it. And I got that charisma, by the way, Viz. I got that charisma, gang. You understand me? So I got to stay, gang.
See, we all tough. We all tough. We all claim to be tough. Mark say it's hard to get rid of a nigga like him. So he
it really is, man. I ain't even gonna cap, gang. It's tough. I ain't gonna cap, gang. It's gonna be
we need to get rid of Marcus, and we need to get rid of Mark. These Mars, we need to get rid of these Mar niggas.
I ain't even tell you where I stood
yet. With MAR, we need to get rid. Hey Corey, do your middle name start with MAR? Because it's so nice to meet you. Okay, cool. You good? These MAR dudes, right? These niggas that start with Mar, we gotta get rid of them. But here's the thing: we all are so tough, allegedly tough, sir. They got these people called snipers. And I don't know how tough you gonna be when a sniper gets you in their scope from 300 yards.
How many snipers do you know, Will? How many snipers you know?
I know zero.
Exactly my
that don't
point.
mean wait, sir.
Nice to meet you, Will.
Hey, listen, man. Look, if they decided tomorrow to get rid of niggas, niggas can't hide. Niggas is too flashy. Niggas is too loud. Niggas want to be seen. Niggas gonna pop their head up like a groundhog. Here I am. Boom.
I'm not talking about them, because the black race is not prepared for a race war in any way, shape, or form. What I'm talking about is people in the community that think they're gonna look at somebody like me and just say, he a nigga, we gonna take him out. It ain't gonna work like that.
Fight a whole community.
But the race war thing, that's a different story, gang. That's a whole different story.
Keep it within the black community. First of all, there's no such
keep it
thing
in the
as
black community, gang.
No, we say this word, but because we don't have another word, we don't have another phrase. There's no such thing as a black community, because for it to be a black community, we can't just occupy it as tenants. We have to own it. See, there's a Jewish community. There's Asian communities. You hear of Chinatown, Koreatown. There ain't no nigga town. There ain't no black town. We don't have a community. So I live in Atlanta, Georgia, the blackest city in America, and we don't. Go ahead.
But if you can't necessarily say that, Will, because I mean, if that's the case, then where's the white towns?
Everywhere, sir. We all the nigga towns is white towns. All of them.
All the nigga towns are white towns.
All the black areas y'all call the black community, like when you talk about geographically, that's white America. They own it. We just rent it. It's theirs. It's not ours. The businesses that we have, we lease out their commercial spaces. We don't own the buildings. We're tenants. It might be your business. True indeed. But sir, you are still a tenant. You don't own it. Or when I say you, I mean we. You might own something, Viz. Some of us do own things, but we as a community, sir, no, we don't have schools. You can't tell me tell me a community that has 2 black elementary schools where all the students are black, all the staff is black, and everything, all the decisions made from top to bottom is black. There's no government intervention whatsoever. And it's just in these communities, and then a grocery store, and then a hospital, and then whatever else necessities you need for a community to exist. We don't have those things. And because we don't have those things, we don't have a community. And because we don't have a community, sir, we really need to find another phrase. But I know for the sake of argument, black community is what we have to rest with, because that's all we have. But we need to be better snitches. See, if we start to promote snitch culture, if we started to promote, tell on these niggas, get rid of these niggas. I hate when a nigga is in a neighborhood terrorizing it for elderly people. Kids can't play outside no more. We all was able to play outside. And then it got to a point where it was like drive-by started to pick up, and cats like, hey. And then they used to do it at night. Then these niggas started doing it in broad daylight. Niggas don't care. Niggas don't even wear masks all the time. Niggas is out of control. And because we let them run rat, we got rats. See, you know how they say when you snitch, you a rat? No, sir. The niggas is the rats. And we supposed to put poison and traps out to kill rats, but we don't. We let these niggas run rampant. And you know what rats do? Nigga, all rats do is this all day long. And that's all them niggas do. Them niggas do this, they sell drugs, and they do this, right? They trying to do this to our sisters. They trying to do this to our mamas, our aunties. They've been trying to do this to our women. And they don't have the audacity to tell a nigga don't holler at your woman. A nigga look at you like you in the wrong for telling him not to talk to your woman. A nigga will try to take you out because you try to challenge him. When you say, man, this is my woman, this ain't your woman. I know Hink is ready to go to war for a nigga trying to his woman, but a nigga would act like Hink is in the wrong for telling him, bro, that's my wife, get out her damn face. Because Viz, you might like niggas, because I know Marcus and Mark like niggas, and I don't know about Corey. The jury's out.
Why you grouping me in this? I haven't even given my opinion yet. Why you keep grouping me in this? I don't get it, bro. Like,
my bad, Mark. You my bad. Go ahead, brother. But Mark,
PS25, PS25. Let me see how long-winded this is gonna be. PS25, PS770 in Brooklyn, both are black elementary schools. If you put Negroes around women, they're gonna fuck. That's a given. That's part of society.
Corey said, yeah, well, yeah.
What's new under the sun? What's the solutions? Rather than throwing them out with the baby in the bathwater, how do you lift them up?
The niggas want to lift up niggas. Want to lift up niggas. Listen to us.
Will, are you advocating for black separatist movements?
Yes.
Are you a black separatist?
Yes. Purge them niggas. Purge them.
So I'm talking about from all people. Just
5,
black
4,
people.
3, 2, 1. Am I being heard?
Not completely, but
I'm sorry, Kenny.
Maybe momentarily, maybe for a season, maybe for a while till we get our ish together, and then we determine if we can re-ingratiate ourselves. We do need to separate. We got some housekeeping to do. Do you co-mingle? Do you let friends come over your house when you need to clean it? Or do you be like, hey, y'all gotta go?
We gotta let Kenny finish, y'all. Kenny was asking a question. What was your question, Kenny?
That nigga was trolling me. He wasn't asking no question.
Y'all can look up PS25, PS770 in Brooklyn are 2 black elementary schools. That's a fact. I know my borough. So now, moving forward, I gave a truism. You put niggas around girls, they will fuck. Is that true or not true? Or is that a troll? So now
it's true. It's relevant for all men.
What's the solution? How do we lift them up? Rather than just denigrate them and say we got to throw them out with the bathwater, because we can't do that with everybody.
I think we've
Where's the
tried.
grassroots effort?
I think we've
Huh?
tried is what
You,
you're saying.
you,
If you go back
No,
to the Million Man March, we tried that. You go back to
no,
MLK, we tried with him. Malcolm X tried.
no,
Marcus Garvey tried. A lot of people have tried.
no,
Obama tried. I'm not saying it's impossible. And I'll be
no.
honest with you, man. I believe that.
I don't think Kenny was done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny. My apologies.
No, we can have the discussion. A try is a try. It has to be perpetual. It's not just, okay, I failed. That means I have to stick it out. Okay, you start Martin, his life was cut short. Malcolm, his life was cut short. Next man up. It's perpetual. It doesn't stop. You don't stop being a man. You wake up every day and you lace up your boots, you look in the mirror, you brush your teeth. It's a man right there. If you said a try is a try when you go out there and work and you got kids and a family to feed, does it stop, or are you perpetually there working? That don't stop, even with the activism that we show. Not every day is a good day, but every day you got to put something in. You have 168 hours in a week. A try is a try. That means you don't stop trying. Over time, with it.
So
The
what's your
in
solution?
closing.
Like, okay, so if you could, in a perfect world, what's your solution? How would you fix it?
Okay,
I got a
it's never
solution.
a perfect world.
If you done,
Oh, go ahead.
my solution is real simple. We got to take accountability for our families, and you just can't break up. You got to be there for the kids. If you look at a household where they got a strong father in there, none of these issues exist. They could be in the midst of all type of chaos, and none of these issues exist. When you have men that are going to actively be involved in the household, they're going to actively set rules and parameters for their household. They're going to actively make sure their kids get disciplined by them, and their wife isn't going to interject because she understands the importance of him displaying authority within the household. You don't have these issues. You have some of the most well-behaved kids who matriculate into society as well-behaved adults. That's the whole solution. Just be fathers, be in the home. The people that's already to that point, only thing they can do is probably learn by osmosis or get to a point in life where they decide that something that's not working for them needs to be done differently. You're not going to cascade and denigrate them, especially the people who think, yeah, I hate you niggas, I think you should. You just go either get laughed at or ran up on. That's not no solution. And the reason I asked about, do you want to isolationist community, which I don't have a problem with, but what you said, are they all black schools? The schools is funded by taxpayers. We all pay taxes. So technically they all black funded schools. These all black funded neighborhoods if we paying taxes. So that's why I asked you that question. Because my it's 99.9% of kids in my daughter's school that's black, and the teachers is black also, and the principal.
I'm gonna say this, if I may interject briefly. Based on Will's recalcitrant diatribe that we had to endure and suffer.
Hey, how do you spell that word? I want to look that up.
Go ahead, my brother. That's on you. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. You did. I got charisma, gang. I told you I got charisma, gang. But no, all jokes aside, bro. Like, I do agree with much of what Will was saying and Hink was saying as well. And I also agree with what Marcus was saying to a degree. I think our focus is in the wrong place. Our priorities, especially when it comes to children, for some reason we prioritize troubled, traumatized children that lash out, that misbehave. You see it in school. They get the most attention. The counselors are always pulling them out the class, trying to talk to them. The kids that are sitting there doing their work, becoming the valedictorian, especially in the black community, our children who do well, they get clowned, they get bullied, they get called the nerd, they jump them after school, they take their lunch money, they take their shoes. So what am I trying to say? It manifests itself in what we see today. As I believe the brother Corey was saying, or somebody on stage was saying, the rappers with the murder music, they get pedestalized, the twerkers, the thots, the thong wearers, the little smutties, little smibs, they out here getting pedestalized. The women want to pattern themselves after this. The mothers, it's even grown women backsliding in their behavior, 50, 60 years old, getting BBLs, getting a fake body. So because society, we have a society in America, and I'll try to land it here, because we have a society that suffers greatly from allodoxophobia, which is the fear of what other people think about them. They get influenced by what's popular, and then they go perpetrate what they're influenced by. And in our community, we just happen to perpetrate things that are detrimental and not conducive, and that are counterintuitive, and that actually is kind of suicidal to our culture. What we perpetrate, like people killing each other, should not be pedestalized. Drugs should not be pedestalized. Alternative lifestyles in our community that break up the nuclear family and perpetuate deviation from what's natural should not be pedestalized. Women altering their body other than going to the gym should not be pedestalized. Men perpetrating silly behavior should not be pedestalized. Running down on the neighbor, Miss Johnson, should not be pedestalized. You understand? So when we get our priorities straight and we begin to prioritize people who do the right thing above those who do the wrong thing, I believe then we might be on the trajectory to healing our culture and going back in the right direction. But I think it starts there, and we can only get there. And I'll land with this sentence: by looking in the mirror and taking accountability for what we do as an individual and what happens under our roof. We can't control what happens outside. I always say this: you ain't running up on no group of young dudes talking about pull your pants up, take the dreads out your head and all that. They're gonna pop you. You're gonna get your brains popped. You're gonna get smoked. What we got to do is make sure our kids are productive. I'm productive. My wife is productive. And then as we do that, naturally, you will phase out the behavior, because we're producing productive members. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. Before anybody else talk, let's get Trav in there because he hasn't spoke yet. Go ahead, brother Trav.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Viz made a good point earlier about how all, or at least most other cultures, have the same type of degeneracy going on, right? But the difference is they don't allow those people to represent them. So we have to do, if it's something that you don't appreciate, then it has to be something that we eradicate, right? And the only way to do that is to stop feeding into it, stop giving it that attention. A lot of times we'll look at pretty much social media is what's running everything right now. So if you're on social media and you're watching these people, you're sharing these people, you're commenting on these people, that's one of the worst things you can do to perpetuate it. Because once you get through the black algorithm, it's over. Now it's mainstream, and that's what's going to represent us. Whoever we decide to elevate is going to be who represents us. But we pay attention to too much of the nonsense, and we don't praise enough of people who are doing well in life. A couple of gentlemen said today, like, we'll tease people for being smart. That shit is crazy. They should be praised. They should be the ones with the accolades. And when people are out here acting out of pocket, we should be shitting on them. And of course, Marcus also made a great point with the fathers. That's where it starts, and probably where it ends. If we could actually take the time to make sure that we're instilling these values into our children from young and being very intentional about it. A lot of times, and there's some of us who might be in the homes, but maybe we just work a lot, or we too busy, right? We trying to get to the money. But there's certain things that you're not going to get from the mother alone. That discipline and that structure that your children are going to have is going to come from you. That one-on-one time, having those early talks with them, because we have to realize that the influence now is different than what it was before. These kids got the entire world in the palm of their hand. Once they have a cell phone, it's a wrap. And if they don't got one, they're going to go to school and their friends got one. So we got to tackle these conversations way earlier than we feel comfortable, because their peers are definitely going to feel comfortable introducing them to things. I'll leave it there.
Hey, Trev, can I ask you a quick question? Would you agree that the power, that people underestimate the power of shame? Do you agree that that's something that we should reinstitute in our community, as you stated? Like
I'm 100% with you on that.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm for real.
I think
real.
I believe in that. I spoke on it before, on a panel. I definitely believe we should have shame for people who we don't want to represent us. When we see some bullshit, call it out. I think a lot of us here do a good job at that, but culturally, not as much.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Trev?
I don't think that shame is as influential and as powerful as it once was. People that you would shame actually embrace it. They're gonna make a video of you trying to shame them and have everyone shame the person that's shaming them. So I think that I agree, but I don't think that that's a useful tool now, because it's not going to get us anywhere. It's just going to give them more fuel to give you a reason to shame them.
Viz, would you agree that within the realm of
shame,
social media? Go ahead, Marcus. I don't want to hog the mic.
I think shame can work, but you have to be respected by that group of people to shame them. You can't be shaming them and then say something.
Hell
like,
no, bro.
Well, so you telling me that like, so the police shame people for not telling? Why they still don't tell?
No, that's not. Come on, bro.
You have to have respect within that.
No, that's something completely different.
The white people can say to me all day, "I don't like the way you speak. I think you should dress like this. I think you should do." I don't give a fuck what them people say.
Marcus, you're not Marcus.
Okay.
Marcus, it don't have to be people you respect, but it has to be people of your people group. See, shame leads to ostracization. See, the problem is not just the shame. See, churches are the ones have been the used to be the gatekeepers of shame. And when they said, "Oh, you know what? Shame don't exist no more. We as the church, we not gonna say nothing about nothing." And when the churches stop talking, the people stop talking.
Will, the people don't respect the church.
No.
That's
Marcus,
if they respected the church, then shame could work. Look, if you ain't never raised your kids right, and you go around your kids when they grown, they have no relationship with you, and you try and shame them, they're gonna be like, "Get your goof ass on." However, if you raised your kids and you there with them every day, looking at them is enough to change their behavior. It's the relationship that allows you to instill information.
Yes, and no. Yes, and go ahead, Biz.
I was gonna say, like, even with the church example, like, even if a child, young man, young girl was not raised up in the church, not to be serving in front of the church. You know not to be drinking and smoking in front of the church, regardless if you didn't grow up in the church or not. These are just standards and morals that people had within the community. So I think the easy short answer of it all is that we set standards and we stick by it. There is no weaning, the other people off. It's always going to be a balance of polarity amongst the groups. It's just, again, like Trev said, it's if we accept it and we allow for people to actually be the loud majority.
The problem is this, Brody, right? And I got to touch on this subject briefly. Is because there's a thing called peer pressure. Peer pressure is nothing more than shame, right? When you growing up in your neighborhood and you the only one without them Jordans, and then all of a sudden you bag up some work and go on the block to get them Jordans, that's peer pressure. You felt ashamed because you couldn't fit in with the majority. Now, if the majority of black people perpetuated an image that was positive, that was about you around 5 broke niggas, you're going to be number 6. You understand that concept? So if we're promoting positivity, if we're promoting prosperity, if we're promoting wealth, if we're promoting affluence, if we're promoting good decision-making, and you don't abide by that, gang, peer pressure alone is going to make you want to fit in. That's shame in itself.
It's not peer pressure, even though peer pressure is extremely powerful and effective. It's proximity. Proximity is our problem. So when your kid, Marcus, is raised right, they're in a house that has structure, order. They leave the house. and they go into the area where other kids are at or other people are at, and they spend a great deal of time in those environments, their proximity to those environments will weigh on them. And that's when the quote unquote peer pressure that Marcus talking about starts to creep into the equation. Because if I'm raised in a household of structure, one person can't just peer pressure me, Mark. They could try, but I'm too disciplined. I'm too rooted in my beliefs and my routines or whatnot. But if I'm always in those environments, and now you start to increase the number of people in those environments, and it's just me, eventually they'll find the crack. They'll find where I'm weak and they'll exploit it. So what I was saying about the church is that when you think of the Black community, what was always the epicenter of the Black community?
We just got to back up for a second. You literally just said what I just said. If as a community we perpetuate an idea and live out that idea, it becomes ubiquitous, and the person who doesn't follow becomes an outlier.
We're saying very closely the same things. We're not saying the exact
identical things. We said exactly the same thing.
Okay, we're saying as people, we're not, and I'm speaking collectively now, we're not driven by logic and practicality. We're emotionally driven. We're driven by materialism. Most of us. And quite frankly, we're programmed to survive. So if we go back and talk about families here, in reprogramming our children, reprogramming parents, we have to look at us culturally and say, what things do we value? What things do we prioritize? It certainly isn't family. It certainly isn't religion. It isn't we don't prioritize the things that move us forward. We continue to prioritize the things that move us backward. We have to reprogram ourselves completely in order to make this happen. That's what we have to do. So how do you propose we go in that direction?
Well, before we propose how we go into a direction, we have to clean up and recognize what the problem is. We're not programmed to survive, Corey. We're just not. And I'm gonna try to make it make sense to you. We survive. We know how to survive. We've always survived. No matter how dire things were, we survived. We weren't programmed to do that. We've been programmed to stunt, to front, to shame in a way of not shame to correct, shame to say I'm better, to put down, because that's what we do. We're so braggadocious and we love this thing called swag, or now y'all call it Riz, I guess. I don't even know what the hell Riz is, but if it's the same as swag, what you say?
That's why we love it. Is because many of us come from humble beginnings, right?
Pretty much all of us come from humble beginnings.
Right. Many of us do, right? We grow up in impoverished communities. And so when we look at what a rapper might have or an athlete might have, we look at it and we say, I want that too. And
that's not survival, though.
I'm sorry?
That's not survival.
No, what I'm saying to you is because, think about this, right? You mentioned the baby mama sort of epidemic. Many of us, Black young men, were raised by single mothers, and we're watching our mothers, we're watching our fathers, right? Get up every morning, go to work so they can put food on the table, keep a roof over our head. The idea is, what can we do to ensure that our children are provided for, that our home is taken care of, that we are surviving? Most of us, we're not thriving, we're surviving. And that's what I mean by when I say we're programmed to survive. The reason why material things, right, we obsess over them is because we don't have them. And so we see them and we want them because we associate our identity, our worth, and our value with the things that we accumulate. We don't look at ourselves inwardly. We're looking at things externally, and that's the issue. We have to reverse that. We have to work on ourselves internally instead of looking at things externally and attaching our value to them. That's the main issue.
So when you say, how do we reverse that, right? You're looking for a solution. I'm saying, I hear you, and I'm on the same page with you about looking for a solution. But before we look for a solution, we have to properly identify the problem. And I'm just a little confused because you keep using the word survive. We don't have to survive, especially not in America, especially not in 2025, because the government will keep us surviving. If we do absolutely nothing, the government will keep us afloat. We got housing, we got education, we got food, we can get the necessities that we need. The government gives them to us. So we don't have to worry about surviving anymore. Survival is taken care of. If you're an American citizen, it's taken care of. What we need to worry about is structure and order. See, we don't
agree.
We need to figure out what structure is. Now, before we find a solution, we have to identify, well, what is structure? See, I'm going to say structure is something. Corey, you may say something else. Marcus may say something else because he like niggas. JR may say something else. Mark and Biz is in between, so they may say something else. And then because we collectively don't know what structure is or can't agree on what structure is, you cannot fix a problem because you can't agree on what is what and what is not it. We all over the place. So Mark, Corey, I think you could probably help us, and you can paint this utopia, or you can paint the building blocks of what's the first brick you think that we could focus on. It may not be the best brick, but what's a brick of focus that we should be focusing on?
Men and women keeping their families together. That's the first building block.
Well, you can't start there because you have to go backwards because men and women are not creating families together.
That's what I'm saying. That's the first building block. Is the fact. What I'm saying to you is the black family structure, and I think you guys can agree with this, right? It's pretty much non-existent. I won't say non-existent. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's certainly on life support right now. It is severely broken. I think the first step would be for us to reassess the black family and sort of piece that back together, right? Black families create strong black communities.
But Corey, how can we focus on families when 70 to 80% of black babies that are born are not born to a man and a woman who's in a relationship?
That's the issue. That's what I'm saying. We need to fix that.
Okay, so that's the problem. Not fixing black families, right? Because
I'm saying they're interconnected. Is what I'm saying. They're interwoven.
Okay, but we have to be specific. We're dealing with niggas. We're dealing with stupid people and niggas. We gotta handhold them. We gotta say exactly what we're talking about. We can't talk loosely. We gotta be direct. Hey, abstinence. So if you're saying fix black families, you're saying stop having premarital sex. Stop.
I'm saying that don't be reckless with your private part.
But see, if you say don't be reckless, you open the door for people to have sex. And once they start having sex, everybody's barometer is
practical here. Like, we have to be reasonable. We know that these people are going to continue having sex.
But Corey,
that's not going to stop.
But right? Corey, but listen. Okay, my barometer of what's reasonable or what's responsible is different from Biz. It's different from yours. It's different from Hink. So if we're all young, single males, men or whatever, we're going to all be having sex out here with women to our understanding, our threshold of responsibility. And because you left it open for them to engage like that, and they're not responsible, they're not intelligent people, they're going to think what they're doing is right. And then the girl's going to wind up, all four of us are going to get some girl pregnant. And because we're not ready for that responsibility, we're like, whoa, I was just having sex. I wasn't trying to be no daddy. But you're going to say, keep the black family together. How? It ain't even a family to begin with.
I'm saying that we've been having sex for centuries. That won't stop. I hear what you're saying. I guess my point is this. Single motherhood is glorified in our community, right? A Future, for example, popular rapper. I don't know how many baby mamas he has. He's glorified in our community. We glorify the wrong people. If our youth were exposed, right, to a different image of what a black man should be, of what a black woman should be, they would be probably more inclined to do the right thing. They have the wrong images in front of them. And that's our fault because BET promotes that. We have plenty of black platforms, organizations, right, that promote the wrong things. We need to look at all of this. Right? You mentioned structure. We need to look at all of this and completely dismantle it so that our children, right, in future generations will have positive black images, right, to look at and emulate. That's what we need to do. Hopefully that'll lead them down the right path because they're not gonna stop having sex, man. Come on, we know this. That's not gonna stop.
Wait, yeah, so Mark, I think to Will's point though is us saying it. You know, and it not being a gray area. The problem is that when we leave that gray area is that more people are going to go towards that gray area. So yeah, of course, everyone is going to keep having sex, right? The Bible tells us not to have sex before marriage. People been doing that since the Bible days. We know that that's not going to change it. But the fact of the matter is that when it was a standard, you couldn't just be outside just willy-nilly cracking everything and everybody know what you're doing. If you was doing something, you was doing it in the dark, in which, of course, it makes it no better. But we have this idea or concept that everyone is following this one rule, in which then brings structure and order. I think that's Will's point.
No, I don't think that's Will's point at all. Will, you done changed your whole opinion on marriage? You pro-marriage and people shouldn't have sex until they get married?
No, sir. Listen. So I'm glad. Great question. I don't care if people get married or not. I'm talking to Mark about his perspective. So Mark said we need to keep the families together. I think you can keep a family together without getting married. You don't.
I didn't say that, Corey. Y'all talk.
I'm sorry, Corey. Did I say Mark? I'm sorry. I meant to say Corey.
It's all
good. I don't think you have to be legally married to keep your family together. I think you have to be intentional about who you are laying down with and who you are having kids with. Sometimes we have kids and it's unintentional, but it's not that we are not willing to have a kid with that woman. Stay together. Now, if you have a kid with a woman, there's plenty of us who have kids with a woman that we plan to have our kids with this woman. We quote unquote did it the right way. We did it within wedlock, yada yada, and it still didn't work out. Everybody act like that's okay because you started right. Just because you start right don't mean nothing, because you can start wrong and finish right. It's about how we finish. We're so focused on the start, and the start is uber important. Don't get it twisted. But because we don't begin anything with the end in mind, we begin things and we have every intentions, and then we allow women to leave marriages because of irreconcilable differences or whatever other reasons. There's no shame there. There's no ostracization there. I think if we want to just pick on women for 1 second, I don't want to harp on women, but if we were to tell women, hey, if you get married, and this does not work out, and you decide to leave your marriage, cool. You ain't welcome here no more. We don't want to do stuff like that. We be like, that's too crazy. That's too radical. And it's like, no, that's how it was. You don't just get to keep access to certain clubs when you do certain things. Guess what? You get a felony. People don't just let you live in certain apartments, do they? You can't rent no apartment here. You made a bad decision, and that decision has consequences. But see, we don't have no consequences in the Black community. What do we get in trouble for in the Black community?
We have a force field around us. We don't get in trouble for anything anymore.
That's what I said. We have no consequences.
What are y'all talking about?
I'm not talking about
what are y'all talking about?
We're talking about morality.
See what happens when
not the police. We get
see
that.
what happens when you get diarrhea in the mouth.
What I'm saying to you is,
I don't understand.
So let me ask you this. So you brought this up earlier, Will, right? You said something about people getting ostracized and shaming. Was that you, Will?
Yeah.
So would you consider black flight ostriches? That part.
I know what you mean. Go ahead.
Ostriches. Right? You're saying, what do we get in trouble for? When people ostracize other people outside the group, is that a form of them getting in trouble? Or are they supposed to get pinned to the whipping post and get
No. That's a form of getting in trouble. If you get ostracized, That's a form of getting in trouble. That doesn't happen.
Right. So it doesn't?
No.
So Kendrick and Drake didn't just happen? Wait, no, Wizzle.
What?
So when I think about wait. So when I think about black flight, people who leave the city in places where Big Mama and them, Big Daddy and them bought a house, the neighborhood went bad, and they want to get away from niggas, right? So they move to the suburbs. That's not a form of them getting in trouble?
No, what?
Oh, okay.
Hey, is your arm okay? That reach was crazy.
Hold on.
That reach was crazy.
Wait, really? What do you mean by that? What you mean by that?
What?
So the question on the floor, and maybe listen, I was in my phone, so maybe I heard it wrong. Y'all said
no, just bow out, brother. Just bow out. Just bow out. Don't.
Bow out for what? You could explain. No. If I missed it, you could correct me.
Right? Well, no. I didn't understand what you meant by that statement.
Ostracizing yourself from the group. right? Is that a
No. We
form?
don't ostracize. No. That's no. You deciding. That's called divesting. That's not ostracizing. That's divesting. That means you no longer want to be a part of this, or that's not a punishment. That's not you getting in trouble. You getting in trouble is when you do something, Rilla, and your grandmama say, take that boy home. He can't come back over here. You be like, oh, I can't go over to grandmama's house.
Also, alienation and what's it called in church? Excommunication. So, Viz, you should be familiar with that. Excommunication, that's not a form of punishment.
Yes, it is.
If a person
let me let y'all finish the conversation. Let me go ahead and bow because y'all finna try to sit here and make me look like oopy goofy.
No,
I'm genuinely trying to understand. Let me make sure I understand what y'all saying first. Trust me, I'd heard enough, but go ahead, carry on, please.
Well, no, I'm genuinely trying to understand what you meant by that, because you're saying that a person that ups and leaves from where Big Mama was staying to the suburbs is who's being ostracized.
So that's why I said maybe I misunderstood what the conversation was. So let me dial in, and then I'll give a proper response.
So here's the easiest way to understand it, Rilla. You have a house, apartment, whatever. You have a dwelling. All right. If I'm welcome to your place, and you say, "Hey, bro," when you come over, you be like, "Hey, make sure you take your shoes off before you walk into my house. I have a mat outside. Take your shoes off and just put them to the side. I don't allow people to walk in my house with their shoes on." And I hear you, and I make the mistake, forget, or I just don't care, and I walk in your house with my shoes on, and you remind me, "Hey, Will, hey, bro, please don't walk in my house with your shoes on. I have a mat outside. Just put your shoes over there, or bring them in, take them off, and then bring them in and sit them to the side." And if I walk in your house again and I don't take my shoes off, and you don't trip, you just say, "He's not welcome over here anymore." But you make me aware of it. "Hey, Will, you're not welcome to my house anymore." That's a form of ostracization. You telling me I no longer have these privileges. I no longer have this access because of my behavior. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that the example that y'all use for black people don't get in trouble?
Yes. What do black people do that they get in trouble with that's not legally? How do black people hold other black people accountable?
You can't. They don't. You can't hold other black people accountable because
typically people will leave.
But that's not you holding them accountable. That's them divesting, Rilla.
Right,
if I don't like black women no more and I only date white women, that's not me being punished. That's me saying I don't want you ladies. That's called divesting.
My question for Will and Corey, y'all said there are no social punishments for black people, none whatsoever, right? So my statements about the guy in general in the beginning, I would say the overwhelming majority of black people feel the same way I felt about that and would ostracize and isolate them. and we seen it with what they initially
you're talking about
came around.
You're talking about the guy in the
original
suspenders?
videos we watched. My response to him was really, you done got me.
I know.
Hold on. Just say the bird. Just say
listen to me, gentlemen. Listen closely. Listen.
I got it.
Ostracization. Say it with me. Ostracization. All right. Here we go.
Okay. All right, Professor Mark. The majority, the issue is that we don't penalize people and excommunicate people. I can understand if your argument was the things we penalize and excommunicate people, which y'all don't agree with. But once you start saying he a snitch, we kind of excommunicate your ass and want you as far away. If you make comments about reparations, the internet gonna go in on your ass and you gonna get excommunicated and get thrown far away. We got things. You might not agree with the things that we try and institute social consequences off, but we actually do institute those things if you think about it culturally.
But I mean, but to your example, it's not in a positive form, though. If we're telling people not to snitch on the very people that's causing harm in our communities, then that's not a positive. That's not a positive thing.
I said you might not agree with what they're doing, what is done behind, but it's
there. Oh yeah, one mic.
Viz, here's what Marcus is saying. He's saying, I'm just using this for illustration purposes. There's some niggas. And then there's a black. The black sees the behavior of niggas and he calls them out. Marcus is saying the niggas then say you can't come over here to Niggerville no more. He don't want to be in Niggerville. You can't punish a person who don't want to be where you can't kick me out of something I don't want to come into. See, that's
I don't believe
right.
that.
And so let's keep walking down it, right? Because then you said it was divesting, and divesting is not a form of punishment.
No, sir. Do you
right? So when you take wait, let me ask you this. So when you take wealth and resources from a community, right? That's not a form of punishment. When you take stability,
yes,
when you take family, when you pull it out.
If you're taking something from someone, you're talking about you choosing to no longer want. Okay, it's not punishment if somebody say, "Man, I don't want welfare. I'm gonna figure it out on my own." That's not.
You're looking at it backwards, Will. I think what Rilla is asking is
I'm looking at it backwards.
Yes, and you need to listen so you know why. You understand? Before you just assume, gang. What's wrong with you, man?
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, I heard exactly what he said. And when I was quiet, unlike you, I just understood it because he said it while I was quiet. So
try to explain it to me.
What he's saying is he's asking, is it not punishment to the community that they're divesting from because they are withdrawing their resources from that community when they take flight away from? I don't care if you agree with it. I'm trying to give you a better understanding.
I didn't say I didn't agree with it.
You understand? So,
and Mark, Viz, is that what Rilla said? What Mark just said?
Rilla, is that not what you were saying? Am I misinterpreting
That's what I was saying the whole time.
That's what he was saying.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard him say that time. Yeah, for sure.
So you're saying
your recalcitrant diatribes cause you to just continue.
You ain't gonna never never shut this down. You should have came yesterday. You should have been there yesterday.
I saw you not give no smoke to nobody. I saw it. Lapeef sent me the JR sent me the link. You know what I'm saying?
I saw you not show up.
Why would I show up, gang? Like if I want smoke, I do it whenever, wherever. Like I don't gotta come to your show for smoke. What are you talking about? You sound crazy.
They are to put us on the Jumbotron right now.
Check this out. This your best pointer. This is your next best move. Look at Rilla and address that man, and then we'll double back.
When I say,
hold on, y'all.
Corey, we'll be smoking on Will. I ain't lying.
Hold on, Corey. Corey, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, real quick. Let's make sure we mute in between. Corey, I know your mic is hot. I think Viz, you got a little buzz too. Okay. Let's make sure we get Corey, Trev, and Hink in there before anybody else talk. Go ahead, Corey.
So when I say that Black people occasionally are beyond criticism, it's because we often use racism, we use slavery, we use things like this as a crutch to rationalize the poor behavior that we often display. And that's what I mean. There are groups of people, right, who are less inclined to shame us, to criticize, to even analyze our behavior in fear that they might be called racist. Even people within the community. I don't want to be called a coon, so I'm not going to shame the behavior that I see because I don't want to be ostracized from the group. We'll look the other way. We'll turn a blind eye in fear that we might be isolated. And that's what I'm saying. The behavior is allowed because people do not want to be isolated from their own group. And because these justifications and rationalizations are being made for this ridiculous behavior, it is being allowed to continue. That's what I'm saying.
So my point was in agreement. Because I said y'all may not agree with the thing that they're doing it behind. I'm saying that it occurs, and in order to rectify that, you would then have to become the respected party, and then you can operate within it. Like I don't know if y'all remember when Jay-Z said, "I don't wear jerseys. I'm 30 plus. Get a fresh pair." What he say? I don't wear jerseys. I'm 30 plus, and a fresh white tee, nigga, button up, right? He single-handedly with that one thing because he was respected and viewed. Am I echoing? Or is it static when I'm talking? Y'all can hear me? Yeah. Well, he single-handedly kind of changed the dress codes between young Black men. We all had button-ups going to the club at that point. That entered the casual business suit going out era, and it may seem petty or whatever to you, but what I'm speaking to my point about, if you have respect within the in-group that you would like to steer in whatever direction,
affect changing through
there. And if you don't have that, then you're just yelling at them through the window, like you're not even in their in group.
But then Whistle,
hold on, y'all. Got to get Trev and Hink in there, and then we can go ahead to everybody else. Go ahead, Trev.
So let's say we was about to do this this switch. What would be some of our first steps that we would have to take for the people who are not respected to be respected, because they don't care. They don't care about that. Like Marcus was just saying, we shaming people for the wrong thing. How is it that we could actually start that and say, yo, well, this is cool, but this isn't cool, right? We understand in our households, but guess what? We could do everything we want for our children, but then when we send them out there, it's a different ball game. So where would we start with that?
It's still going to start in the house.
Asking us. I'm gonna say this, Asha. I think we need to stop talking about looking for solutions, gentlemen. We can't even agree on what the problem is. Like, how do you fix a problem that you can't even agree on? Like, we a solution to what? What you said, Trav? Then what about the solution to what I'm saying? What about the solution to what he said? What about we don't even know what the problem is.
I mean, there's only one building block to solution. Hank, if you want to get in there, bro, no Diddy, I'll mute out.
No, you go ahead, man. I'll respond after you.
I appreciate it. And I'll be brief. There's only one building block to solve any problem, and that's personal accountability. Once we negate that, we have nowhere else to go. That is the only place it can start at. And that is the only place. Anything outside of that, we're finished. It's over.
So as far as the answer Trev's question, man, one of the things I made sure I did was evaluate, not only make sure my son knows what he needs to know and the knowledge he needs to be taught on. I evaluated friends. You need to evaluate your kids' friends. Why aren't we doing that? I don't know. You should know who your kids are around. You should know who your kids are being influenced by. Because I know, where we want to believe it or not, the peers are going to be more influential even than some of these parents. Now, it's just unfortunate, but that just is what it is. So we as parents need to evaluate and make sure we pay attention to what's going on, what's coming in and what's going out, what they're watching, what they're paying attention to, what they're watching on social media. I just go into my son's room, just sit down and just start watching some of the dumb shit he used to watch. So then after he watched whatever show or program he's doing, push it to me. Why is he entertained by this? Why is he intrigued by this? What is he getting out of this? Those are the little things that we need to do that most parents don't do, unfortunately. I'll leave it there.
I do want to add to that too as well. I think we got to start young with the kids. I think we're waiting too late. I think we're waiting until things unfold and then we want to try to teach them. So you got to start teaching them at an early age. You'll be surprised what kids are paying attention to and what they already understand. But because you never had a conversation with them. I think with my oldest, I found out things at a later age. He was like, I was already doing it. I already knew about that. And I had no idea. So moving forward with the rest of the kids, I'm like, okay, now I know what to do. Like my youngest is the one that's benefiting from everything. Because as parents, we're not really taught how to be parents. A lot of times we learn on the fly. So if you don't have, if you haven't been intentional as far as being a better parent, then a lot of kids are missing out. And then they're just fed to the world with no lessons. The other thing is too, is when you communicate with them, you want to make sure that they actually understand what it is that you're saying. We say things and they just be nodding their head, but have they comprehended? And that's going to probably be depending on the environment that they was raised in. You know, if you, unfortunately, if you got your kids in these bad school districts and they ain't really learned nothing, you ain't teaching them at the house, ask them, what did I say? What did you understand? If this happens again, what are you going to do? You have to ask these questions in real time to gauge where your child is. You can't always trust what the school is saying. Do they have common sense? One of the ways that I raise my kids is I teach them to try to make the best decision when they're not around me. It's easy to make decisions when they are in front of you, but once they leave your covering, once they are out there in the real world, can they make a sound decision? And the only way you're going to be able to evaluate that is if you're giving them, if you're asking to see if they really understand what it is that you're teaching them. And then sometimes you might got to pop up, you know, if like with my teenager, I used to pop up. I had his location. I would see what he's doing, see how he moving. Same thing with my daughter. I don't give a damn if it's at the school. I'm pulling up. It may be a basketball game. I'm sitting in the stands. I'm watching. I'm trying to see what it is that she's doing. Because kids will fool you. You may think you know your kid, but then when they go out there, it's a whole different story. So you have to get boots to the ground and you have to be intentional. You can't be trying to live your life. Your life is over once you got kids. It's done for. And I had to come to terms with that at a later age. So the best thing that we can do is once you learn, you got to start applying it. And then once you start applying it, it may take a little bit more work because you started too late. So hopefully your kids can have better practices. And then maybe when they have children, when they get married or have they choose to live their life when they had kids, then maybe it'll be better teachings there.
Yeah, let me piggyback off what you just said. That is so true. Because I had to apologize to my oldest child, my daughter, for and I told her, I said, you was a test subject. Unfortunately, you didn't reap all the benefits that your brother, because I learned how to be a parent from raising you. I made a lot of mistakes and I had to apologize to her. You know what I'm saying? Because of that. She said she understood because she was she wasn't a young parent. She had a child at 23, but she was still young. But she understood once she became a parent how the difficulty it is raising a child. So I had to, humble myself and apologize to her because I didn't always do the right things when I was a parent. I mean, corporal punishment, now I don't believe in spankings no more, but there was a time I did, and I had to apologize. Like I said, apologize. I should have been spanking you like that. You really didn't do anything that warrant me from really spanking you like that. But that's what I was taught. That's what I learned. That's what I was a victim of. So that's what I did. And when I learned, you learn better, you do better. So you move and operate differently now. I think as far as what'd you say, bro? No, as far as what you were saying, I just said it, yeah. You have to make sure you stay vigilant and involved. And it shouldn't just stop with our kids. If you got nieces and nephews, you need to pour into them as well. And especially if your nephews are in a situation where their father may not be in their lives. We need to go a step farther. So that's part of us having our own community and bringing it together and try to better it. You're not going to be able to save everybody. I said it earlier. We're not going to be able to save everybody, but we need to try to do what we can, especially for those who are willing to learn, who's willing to receive the knowledge and willing to pay attention and listen. Really horn in on them. Don't focus our energies on the ones who is not ready yet. If they're not ready, let them be until they get ready.
Hank, to piggyback on what you said, I thought you was about to say where I was going. You was close, right? You went to nieces and nephews. The hell with them nieces and nephews. You need to go to your grandchildren. See, if you knew that you did wrong by your daughter or we did wrong by our kids because we just didn't know. Unfortunately, I was going to say to JR, most people don't know. That's why people don't know what to do because they don't know what to do. But now when you realize, when you can say, hey, I now know at a later age, it's like, great. Now that you know, you can spare your child from making the same mistakes that you made, because if you didn't know, you didn't teach your kid. So now your kid can't teach their kid. So it's your job to help your daughter teach her kid. And that's how the cycle breaks. It ain't gonna ever break with nieces and nephews because most of our siblings won't let us discipline their kid the way we want to discipline that kid. They're going, you ain't putting your hands on it, you ain't done that. So at the end of the day, your daughter and you are probably more on one accord now. You've apologized. I'm just using you for an example because you brought it up. But this applies to all of us. You and your daughter, me and my daughter don't have any kids, my oldest, so I'm not in this position yet. If I made some mistakes, I can't fix them with my oldest two. I could try to fix them with my youngest two, but I can help my daughters when they start having kids not make those mistakes. I can partner with my adult children and say, hey, we together are going to raise this grandbaby so this grandbaby don't have the misfortune I had and have the misfortune you had. And I think that's where the chains and the cycles are broken if we're looking for a solution internally. But most of our problems we're talking about are external.
Yeah, but
I'm
but
sorry.
one of the things that I think M. White spoke on too is this whole respect thing. Depending on when you learn, it may be too late because that kid is grown and stuck in their ways and they never had respect for you. So it may be difficult for you to try to come in and help because
then you can't fix it.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunately it's one of those things. That's why I said you got to start young.
But you can't start young if you don't know, right? The caveat is if you don't figure this out until your kid is 15, 16 years old and you did what Hink said he did, he wouldn't apologize, right? Like we all should be man enough to go to our kids and apologize if we drop the ball. But if we drop the ball and if they're not hearing from us, they're not receiving from us, we're powerless to break the chains now. We got to hope that they have the wherewithal or they get some insight from some other source so that they can try to do better with their children. Because what most of us do, we overcompensate, right? If our parents didn't give us enough love, we give our kids too much love. If our parents gave us too much stuff, we try not to give our kids enough stuff. The pendulum be swinging way too far. If we do the exact opposite, I don't like the way my mama and my daddy did this, I'm not going to do this with my kids. How often do we hear people say that? They create another problem.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another problem.
It's about finding that balance, though. We have to find that balance. A thing that we don't do, I've learned to do, is people that are around me, people who might have been some of my friends that might have been parents a little bit earlier. Listen, I'll ask for different things that they did and how different scenarios will work. There's books you can pick up, but a lot of us just aren't that intentional about parenting. A lot of people think that we'll just figure it out, but it's not something you'll figure it out. But Hank just told us what happens if you learn late. It's not the same. If you're learning as you go, you wouldn't want a mechanic working on your car that's learning as he's going. You want somebody who had the experience or at least the knowledge. He had all the training. So I don't think that we take it seriously enough and understand the magnitude of parenting for those of us who even decide to stay in the child's life to be a parent.
But that's why I was telling Corey, like we keep saying, stay in the child's life, right? Stay in the child's life. Where is the shame for Black men leaving their kids?
Shit, I shame it. We all should. We all should.
But there ain't none. We still who don't take care of their kids.
Know about y'all, not me.
I'm not talking about you, gentlemen. I'm talking about us as a community.
Sure.
We're still cool with dudes who don't take care of their kids. And probably everybody on this panel probably got a homeboy that don't take care of their kids, and we ain't said nothing to them.
No, that's not true.
No, we had one, and we got a 23-year-old
superhero niggas on these panels.
Hey, you better understand it, Goofy. That's a fact. You understand that?
No, but here's the thing. Here's the
thing. Play them games.
Mark, you telling me
talking about? Go ahead.
Hey, yo, Mark, you telling me you had a homeboy who didn't take care of his kid? You told him about it, and then you stopped dealing with him?
It's an absolute fact of life. That's one of the main reasons I broke ties with homie, because I ain't respect that. That ain't gangster at all.
Gangster? Why we use
not gangster.
words like gangster?
I don't rock with that. Bro, stop deviating from the conversation. I answered the question, man. Move on. Let's go, man. What's wrong with you, Will, man?
I'm trying to hold you. Listen, I'm trying to hold you to a higher standard, sir.
Don't hold me to a higher standard. You got to hold yourself to one first, gang, before you come over here. You got to get it together, bro.
You call me out, sir. Listen, when I'm on BS, you call me out. I give you permission to call me out.
I ain't on no BS though. I'm talking straight facts.
But notice, whenever you call me out, I never disparaged you. Have I ever called you?
Who did I disparage? You definitely called me a nigga, gang. That's worse than Goofy,
Yeah, I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say nigga. So if I am disrespectful, I apologize.
I already know, man. I'm good with you, bro. Like I already
so what
know
I'm saying to you,
from no Diddy,
what I'm
so
saying
I'm
to
not
you, if you tell me I need to listen better, I'm hearing you. I'm gonna listen to you. I may not apply it right away. That may be my flaw. That may be an error of my ways. But I'm listening to you. I listen to everything y'all say. How you think I'm able to call y'all on what I think is BS? I may be wrong when I call you out on what I think is BS. But I'm telling you, using this gang and that ain't gangster, and that's that bullshit that we trying to eradicate.
Who's trying to eradicate it? What are you?
Yeah,
talking
I told you I
don't
love
understand what you're talking about. Who you might be the only person trying to eradicate. You use the N-word, but you worried about me using the word gang. Like that's hypocrisy at the that's the height of hypocrisy.
I don't think so.
In fact,
I don't think so. But I accept what you're saying, and I think you have a point that you're trying to make, but I just disagree with it, and I might be wrong by disagreeing with it. But I think we all use nigga so much that nigga really don't have any weight on us.
Right, but if
to that same point,
hold on. Can I address him for 1 second? This is the height of hypocrisy, because if you're using a disparaging term towards me that could be misconstrued as an ad hominem, right? A disparaging term, and there's no correlation with edification. There's no edification in that term, and you direct that towards me. How can you dare ever in your life twist your lips and mouth up, no Diddy, to direct any type of advice to me about what type of adjectives I'm using or what type of language I'm using? It's hypocrisy. You feel me? And I respect the fact that you use the N-word. I don't really care for real, but I'm just pointing that out. You feel what I'm saying?
And I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I might be wrong, and it might be hypocritical for me to do so. But in my hypocrisy, I think you should call me to the carpet.
We don't woke up this. We don't woke him up now.
In my hypocrisy, you should call me to the carpet and say, "Hey, Will, it's hypocritical of you to address something I'm saying when you're saying this," and I have to be like, "Ooh, okay."
But I don't care enough. What I usually do is when you say something, I just have a bullet with a hollow ready to pop back at you, because I know you're gonna say something silly. So I keep a loaded clip of critical defense on deck. You understand?
Hold on, sir. Sir, I don't say nothing silly, sir. So listen, look,
it's not the cat.
But
man.
I'm okay with that. This is what we're supposed to. This is when I say, when we talk about King Talk, this is what it is, right? So if I call you to the carpet on something, and you recognize something I'm doing, I think it would be best if you would just take heed to what I'm saying and then call me out. But you don't have to. You could just deliberately turn around and call me out. And I would have to take heed to the same advice I think you should do. I should take heed to what you're saying before I try to get defensive and tell you whatever. I think we're better suited when we have the ability to shame each other and ostracize each other if we don't have the proper decorum. And if you're calling me out, and I have to take that, I have to accept that. And then I'm like, okay, he got a point. Let me go work on that. So the next time I talk to him, I'll be like, brother, and you're like, oh, he stopped saying nigga. He called me brother. And then I'm making a valiant effort to address my behavior so I can be able to address you in your misbehavior.
Right, but I'm not so interested in addressing people in their misbehavior. I'm more like, I just turn the mirror on people like this and say, look, what you're saying right now. Hold on a second.
Let's make sure we're getting back on. Let's make sure we
let's get back on topic,
y'all, because some of y'all been going back and forth with this. I mean, it's a great dialogue, but for the people that came to hear what we came to discuss, I want to make sure we stay on track.
Did we kill the vibes?
I just are y'all ready to have that? So when we say we need to shame men, I just are y'all ready to have the conversation about the men who didn't intentionally plan for family, didn't want their seeds to begin with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Y'all ready to have that conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Really?
Guess what?
So what's the shame? So wait, because you said shame that man, call him a deadbeat, all that stuff.
No, I didn't say that. I said I'm ready to have the conversation.
Oh.
So the conversation don't have to be necessarily shaming him, is bringing it to his attention. If he bucks, that's when you shame him. You don't just shame him because they made a mistake.
No. Do you understand the scenario that I'm setting up? The dude didn't want kids. Right. So this is I think you were alluding to this with Corey earlier when he was giving people a pass. Like, I don't advocate for men out here having sex haphazardly. I don't preach that to my sons. You should be intentional when you deflowering a woman, right? That should be your woman, right? Or your wife, more importantly, right? That shouldn't be some random chicken. You got a lot of people out here fucking for sport. So what ends up happening is we having these conversations trying to correct situations when them dudes went in there just fucking for sport. They weren't intentionally trying to create no seed or none of that. So what is the shame or the correction to that man, right, from the group when he didn't plan on having none of that to begin with?
So if he was recklessly having sex for sport, he get a woman pregnant, and he steps up to the plate, there's no shame in it because we don't even know he was necessarily having sex for sport unless he tell us. Now, if he's not in his kids' lives, if he's not taking care of his kids, that means he's not adhering to his responsibility. We make mistakes, and there's recompense for our mistakes because we step up and we do what we're supposed to do. I made a mistake. Dang, I was out here reckless. Here's my consequences. This kid, I take care of my kid. There's no need to shame him.
Damn. That reflect on that. Do you know that's terrible for that child? So that's what I'm saying. Like, because you're talking to a man who didn't want the seed. That's the part I keep trying. So
what is he supposed to do? He didn't want the seed.
We're trying to wait. Listen, we're trying to bring someone into morality whose whole premise was immoral to begin with.
Rilla, if he did not want the kid, as you state, cool. We know he didn't want the kid. Okay. The kid is here. What is he supposed to do?
So I give you a perfect example. What's the old boy name? Anthony Edwards paid the girl up front.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So is he off the hook? He's cool because he paid her.
No, he a nigga.
So he needs to be in that kid's life.
He a nigga. No, he a nigga. We need to
I'm asking you. So, but he needs to be in that kid's life.
Yes.
Right. In order to redeem himself. Right.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's why I advocate. I don't even advocate, yo, young blood, strap up. Right. Don't approach that woman at all unless you're gonna take on that full responsibility.
Right. But really, you're switching this. You're moving the goalpost real quick.
You definitely kind of moved the goalpost with that one, bro. If you're saying that the kid, that the guy didn't want a kid, what's the conversation that we're gonna have with him? And then bringing up Edwards on the flip side of that, to where of course he didn't want to have the kid, but his follow-up is, I don't want nothing to do with the kid, compared to him actually taking care of the kid. You know, taking on the responsibility for his actions. So to Will's point,
go ahead. I'm not sure I follow that, Viz, because the end result is the same, right? The paying the money is the money, right?
No. I didn't say.
Not you, Will.
But no, I'm going off what you said, because you said
it's lock and step.
Oh, okay, y'all in step. Okay, let's go.
We on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah. So my whole thing is, and I think Will is in agreement, is that if he didn't want the kid, but he's taking care of the kid, then
financially.
We didn't say just financially. We didn't say that.
So that's why I was trying to hold. Will, I got what you saying, brother. That's why I was trying to hunt. But if y'all in lockstep, if y'all twinning, we could do it. But I know Biz was saying something different.
No,
I don't know about the twin. I'm going off what you said. I'm just going off what you said.
We're not just saying sending money to the kid. So Rilla, guy did not want. He was out there having sex for sport. He get random girl Kim pregnant, Betty pregnant, whoever. Betty's pregnant, Kim's pregnant, whatever. The kid, let's use Betty and Kim. He ended up getting 2 girls pregnant at the same time. You know that wasn't his plan, right?
Right.
Both of these kids come into the world.
Right.
He pays child support and he has nothing to do with his kids.
Right.
We will still ostracize him because he's a problem to our community. Same scenario. Guy B gets 2 random girls pregnant, Tasha and Keisha. He didn't plan for that. The baby's coming to the world. He steps up. He's like, obviously, I can't live in 2 households. Maybe he's not with either of the women. He pays his finances. He's in those kids' lives. He's in all the activities. He's trying to have a relationship with the mothers cordially so he could be in the kids' lives. We welcome him back because he can't necessarily be in 2 households. So we can't, unless we're just going to say you're done because you made a mistake that's unforgivable, unredeemable. But I think we can redeem him by saying he's financially taking care of his kids and he's trying to give them some structure and order and some direction in their lives by being in their lives. I think we welcome him back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't advocate for that. I don't teach my sons that, none of that.
It ain't about advocating for that. It was a mistake. We never advocate for the mistake.
You created the situation.
Right.
We advocate for doing the right thing when you make the mistake, trying to.
So my question is, what type of father do you think this dude is going to be to a
He
child?
might be a terrible father, but we don't
Right.
judge him. We don't judge him on how great of a father he is or isn't. We judge him on his actions. If he's trying to be a great father, we welcome him and we pour into him as best as we can to try to help him be a better father.
Yeah, I guess to that point, in that case, we would have to shame him for not being a as good of a father to his daughter as he was to his son.
And we wouldn't do that. We would applaud him for recognizing. We would applaud him for recognizing that he dropped the ball to whatever capacity, and he's trying to repair it and restore it as best as he possibly can. And he may do a phenomenal job, and we may be singing "Kumbaya" at the end. It may be great, but at the end of the day, we judge the actions of trying to restore. We don't necessarily judge the result, because the result is, we don't know the result. The result could be 2-3 years down the road. Sometimes we have to wait and see how things pan out. We can't start judging the guy who's on the road to redemption the day of and be like, why ain't you succeed yet? He's on the road to redemption. He ain't. You don't get to redemption the day you start the road to redemption.
Okay.
I don't know if we got through that.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. Go.
See, this is why I say. This is why I say, because gentlemen we can't even agree on what's right. You talk about finding solutions. We can't even agree
here's
on
the thing, though. Here's
redemption.
the other thing I think we missed too, right? And I said this earlier to somebody. Yo, fam, we are all tribal. None of us are gonna agree all on everything, right?
Right. So we can't
everybody.
talk about
So we can agree. So again, this is what I say, right? The things that we can coalesce and agree on, man, we could work together on that.
Right. We're trying to figure out what we agree on. I didn't
say. Do we agree on family? Wait. Do we agree on family?
I don't know what that means. Explain.
I have to.
I mean, can you don't want to be specific?
Man, woman. No. Man, woman, child.
Okay. Yes.
That's nuclear family for me. Do we agree on that?
I agree. Yes.
Okay. Do you agree on controlling the resources in your community or the people that you live around, that you fraternize with? Controlling the resources.
Wait. Do I agree that? Wait, that's
people in community, in neighborhood that live around each other. Why is that confusing to you? I just asked, do you agree that they should control the resources?
You said agree on controlling resources. I don't even know what you're saying.
Okay, you're right. We can't agree. You're right. You're right, Will.
Do y'all know what that means?
No, nobody knows. Have fun.
Yeah, he was talking about the things you said earlier. Don't make a community because you don't have a hospital, you don't have a grocery store.
He said controlling the resources. What is
right? That was essentially what that meant. Controlling.
Wait. Hold on, Will. Because I don't like I don't know if you being willfully obtuse or if you truly don't understand what. Do you vote?
No,
you don't vote. So you don't have a say so at your local level, right? So your taxes, you don't control the direction of your taxes. You don't have no say so.
Even if I vote, I still don't control
I got you.
it.
You good, Will. You good. Peace to the gods.
Wait,
man.
Hold on. Okay, that's cool. I'm good. We don't have to finish it, but
let me get to these super chats right quick. Take a pause. Get super chats. Doug Will 999 says Black culture is a combination of many different subcultures. It's hard to pin down to one thing because we were an inorganic breed of people that were created in America. Urban Reed $5 says invest in earplugs, Black men, because there will be weeping and gashing of teeth. Don't let those vampires in, especially those that look like you. The Will 499. No, Marcus, your results in life show you're not a ninja. You have a love of ninjas, but you're not one, whether you want to admit it or not. Sir Shy 87 $2 says I blame it on feminism. Will, come on now, fam, you know. LD also in 499 at panel. Shame ain't never coming back. It is what it is. Silver Fox with the 999. Salute to the panel. SOD Prophecy to Savior. $10. If we can't shame people for their ignorance, as Marcus put it, then if your child is being a menace in society, the parents of that child should receive the same punishment. No more kid gloves. Yeah, Simmons, 1999. Read them, the Warrior Kid books, and Extreme Ownership. That's all. I want to thank everybody that's contributed to the platform thus far. Hit the like button and also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I did come across this clip, man, before we near to the end that I do want to come across. Do want to discuss. So I'll run it, then we go to get some reactions. Y'all ready? You good, Viz? Like you mean? All right.
What was the second book in there?
And there's an aesthetic that
Extreme Ownership.
Ownership, yeah. Did you get it, Marcus? Somebody put it in the back chat.
The Warrior Kid and Extreme Ownership.
Okay. All right, here we go. Y'all ready?
as you were talking, and there's an aesthetic that I obviously seen, and have observed over years of the nation, right?
Yes, sir.
Educate me on, I never see women around men in this aesthetic. Like if you were to come,
right,
you're not around a lot of women.
Yeah. Well, this is because they are the object of protection. So if I was around them, I'd be doing security for them. So we were taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. He said this, look at this, Bro Cam. He said, there's no such thing as a no good woman. Any no good woman was made that way by no good man. He said this, that the black woman, she's the second self of God. So we treat our women with that kind of high honor and respect, and then we don't ask them to be around us doing security. We are their protectors, and we are their objects of security. Now, our sisters, they have the same military training that we have. They know how to soldier. They know how to handle people. They know how to disarm. They know how to fight. They know how to hold posts. Everything we do, they do as well, but we don't put them out in the public to be in harm's way like that. If we're present, we're going to be the ones in harm's way. And really, that's what real men used to always do. They call it chivalry now, but it's, a real man always used to walk between the cars and his queen to make sure that if anything happened, I'm going to be the one. Yeah, we always open doors. You even see in the old movies, the man take off his jacket, lay it over a puddle just so she don't step in the puddle. I know you can't do it, but Cam, your jacket's just too nice. Yeah. But you maybe you can walk her around the puddle. But
pick her up.
I step in the puddle. Pick her up like you used to have to pick up them linebackers and stuff that used to be holding on to you. Yeah. We was talking about you in the car. I said, yeah. I said, Brandon, bro, Cam, he would have. I said they would have him, but he would just carry them with them into the end zone.
A little tote package.
But that's the way we see it. The minister said this one day. He said, mama is God in baby language. The first God that we met was mother. She was the one, whenever we needed swaddling, we needed warmth, we needed changing, we needed food. We didn't cry out for Jehovah or the Lord. We cried out for mama to come and give us the breast milk, change the diaper, and swaddle us. So mama, woman, she's the object of protection, so we don't put them out like that. But they do function, they do operate, and they have the same training militarily that we have, and then some extra. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, 75% of my work is with the woman. 75% of my work is with the woman.
How you get that percentage?
I don't know. God gave it to him, I guess. But, you know, if a nation can rise no higher than its woman, and really, if you look around the world, civilization is never judged by the men, the money, or the military. Civilization is always judged by the women. You can go into any civilization and do a test on the intelligence, the morals, and the character of the women of that nation, and you can determine how strong or how weak that nation is.
Man, boy, you said, I'm sorry. Let me check myself. But brother, you said something. Because I've always said, you can ask my lady to this day, or any woman who know me, have known me, gonna know me, knew me, whatever. I've always said, I judge a man by two things. The way his woman is without him being in presence, and his children.
Wow. That's deep. That's a good litmus test, bro.
It's like, I don't care how real you say you are. I don't care how rich you may think you are.
Yeah.
I judge you off two principles. How your children act.
Yeah.
How your children treat you without you being present. And also, how does your woman treat you?
Yeah.
Is she virtuous? Is she somebody that's out here that's a good representation of who?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Right? When you say, man, that's Cam girl, or hey, that's Cam's kids right there. And then you saying it in a way where it's not them his kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Does he know they out here doing?
Yeah.
Those are the things that I try to make sure that those are the biggest investments in any man's life.
Yeah. And you're so accurate. This is what Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said 1,400 years ago. He said, the best among you is he who is kindest to his wife and his mother. Those are the standards. Why those two? Because mother is the one that brought you into the world and has you where you are. And wife is the one that's going to take you into the future even when you're gone. So these two, my wife and mother, are the two that you should be judged by to see whether or not that you should be worthy of respect. And I found out accidentally on purpose that you can measure the goodness and the greatness of a man by the size of the smile of the woman in his life's face. If the woman that he's with is not happy, that's a sign that that's not a good man. If he's a good man, her smile is always going to be big on her face, because when a man is in love with a woman, her needs and wants become his goals. Anything that she wants, she's always thinking. The minister said like this, love anticipates need. So when you really love somebody, you in love with somebody as a man, you're listening to what she likes. What does she want? And you're always trying to be there to manifest it. So if you have a woman, you see a man and woman, a couple together, and she's never happy, that's a bad testimony on part of that man. If he's a good man or a great man, she gonna have a good smile. I see you looking at your queen's smile right now in your head. Is she smiling, Brother Cam?
Yeah, she better be, you know what I'm saying? Hey, don't leave it hanging. Don't leave it hanging. But it's one of those things in these.
That's the first time I ever heard him say something stupid.
Yeah, I disagree, man.
God damn, that was dumb.
It sounded.
Hold on, Marcus. Marcus, do you agree or disagree?
I agree with him.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, I definitely disagree. I mean, let's just say we had a bunch of virtuous women out here, right? Which nearly every single one of us said that that's a scarcity, right? So, one of the main things that men complain about is women are never satisfied, women are never happy, right? So, if that's the case, she's not gonna have a smile on her face the whole time. He could be doing everything. He could be pouring into her. He may not know how to manage what it is that that he's getting from her, but that doesn't mean that he's a bad person or a bad man. I think the children portion of it is more relevant, right? How you raise your children, what type of discipline you instill in them. But women are autonomous beings, and here in the West, women have a lot more leverage than men. So when you put those two together, it's kind of tough to judge a man just by what it is going on with his woman. I know you disagree, Marcus. Go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, I want to say I
I agree wholeheartedly with the points that you could tell it. So the closest person to you is gonna be the people that live in the home with you, your wife, your woman, and your kids. Their well-being is a reflection of how you operate in the society and operating at home. If you in the house yelling and screaming and potentially making them feel unsafe and putting them in positions where they damn near afraid of you, or it's it's a reflection of your character as a man, I believe. I also believe that if you let them run over you and just do anything and you can't create peace within your home or structure and boundary, that's also a reflection of you as a man. Um, the chivalry, the protection, of course, I'm gonna protect and die behind the people in my family. If you don't want to do those things for the women and the children in your life, that's also a reflection of you as a man. I think somehow we got to the point where we view loving our wives or loving women or having empathy for as being weak. When I think it's the complete opposite, especially if you standing in the midst of everyone else saying that that's not cool. And you're like, well, I don't know what y'all talking about, but I love my wife. I love my kids. I will give my life for them and I sacrifice everything for my family. A lot of times my ego and all type of other things, I'm not perfect, but I try. And it's based off of the responsibility that's also in equal parts love for my family. And
So
I
Marcus,
can't
I agree with all of the parts about the chivalry and everything else, right? And I share the sentiment with you as far as loving wife, loving kids, would do anything, right? But at the same time, I still realize that beyond me, when we look at what's going on with the majority of people, or at least a, a great portion of people, right? Who are creating sometimes the degenerates and everything else. Not everybody's happy, and a lot of people are dealing with different things. And in certain instances, we've seen where men will go into a situation like, you know what, I'm gonna get this money, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put it into my family, and then you hear women talking about, oh, I'm bored, or oh, damn, he's always at work, or or she just want to go mess with the homeboy instead. Like, it's a lot of different things that happen to dudes in that situation. Now, some men it's never going to happen to, right? Or it's very unlikely that it's ever going to happen to. But there's a great portion of men who are dealing with this reality. And would you not agree that at least here in this country that women have more leverage and are actually incentivized to do the wrong thing sometimes by their men?
Yeah, no, I think it's a financial incentive to divorce people, especially if you land with money and you're a rich person, and the woman just had to be beautiful enough for you to want to marry, and then she divorces you and she can take your money. Yeah, those things exist. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. What I'm speaking to is I genuinely do not believe that men who show up in their household presently, not just go to work and then you just ignore everybody and you're angry all the time, or whatever, but men who show up in their household presently, your woman will receive that and give you more love and is less likely to leave and more likely to create a happy home where your kids are happy. I genuinely believe that that is a result of that. And I'm not saying anybody's a bad father because I don't know they intricate circumstance, and it could be a mental illness or something going on. But from my experience, the men that like my circle from college to, you know what I'm saying, all of those men, their wives seem to be extremely happy. When they have kids, they be well behaved and they seem happy. And the people who I don't see in those situations with like the cursing out and fighting and all that stuff, it also reflects through other aspects of their life. So it's not an indictment on that. I'm just saying there tends to be trends. So I
think that we're and I agree with Marcus, and I also agree with Trev. I understand what the brother was saying, but I think that we're forgetting that as people, as emotional beings, we all go through seasons. So you can be the best husband on the planet, but if that woman is going through a season as to where she feels that something is not being met, and this man believes that he's doing it all, she can very much not have that smile that she's walking around with. even though he's showing up in every single area that she needs, but not this one. So I think that I understand what he's saying, and I think this kind of goes back to what to the point that me and Will was speaking on with setting this standard. Yes, this should be the standard, that when a man or society sees your woman, that she should have a fucking big smile on her face, and you can tell that she's in a loving home. But the harsh reality of it is that as us being emotional beings and going through seasons, going through peaks and valleys, there's going to be a time where she just may not have this smile on her face. But that doesn't make that man a bad man, or says that he's in has a household where he's cussing and yelling at.
And to add,
so I make room for that, Viz. I make room for that, and I'm not saying just because, but I think it's an indicator. That's why I use the word trend at the end. I would think that those things would lead to me believing this about character. It doesn't necessarily mean that, because she could have bipolar disorder. She could go through perimenopause. It could be things going on within that home that are out of that man's, you know what I'm saying? Out of his purview of what he can control. But I do think that can also be a sign of the positivity that man structures within his life, and the energy that he radiates with. Because I see it.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, Marcus. Do you tend to see independent women happy with their husbands?
By independent, you mean that they work and that they view a relationship?
Men who profess to be independent.
No, you're not going to be happy with your husband.
Okay, so majority of women profess to be independent, do they not?
I don't feel like married women do that.
I'm not asking you about married women right now. I'm asking you about.
Oh, you're just saying in general,
right? Do majority of women profess to be independent?
Yeah, a lot of women have said that.
Okay, and so that will segue into the women who are also married.
So I think that the women that are independent tend to be single, and the women that tend to be in relationships and married don't be yelling at independent.
That's not true, bro. That's not true. Here's the thing. In your experience, you talked about your brothers that you went to college with. I'm just going to assume these brothers are more successful than the average man.
That's a fair assumption.
Okay, so chances are they got more docile, submissive women.
That's 100%
to their program.
That's 100% true.
So therefore, when you see this utopia that you're describing, it's because it's the structure that we men ideally would want to see. You just happen to be amongst an elite group of people who was able to garner that experience. And so therefore, you're not paying attention to the average Joe guy who makes $42,000 to $45,000 a year. And he doesn't have the ability to keep this woman smiling like she's walking on bed of rose petals are at her feet 24 hours a day. See, most of the women you're describing, they are honored to be with the man in their life.
Absolutely.
Most of the women in society look at the man in their life as he's not adequate. He's not good enough. So therefore, that contentment is there. That resentment settles and it starts to grow. And as much as he can try, to Viz's point, and I'm not knocking women necessarily by trying to beat up on women. I'm just explaining what is taking place in our society. What Viz is saying is the man can do everything in his power to try to be that guy for the woman. But because, and like to Travis' point, the autonomy of women, the high expectations of women, the lack of submission in most women, the independent nature of most women, they're not going to be happy with the average man, because the average man is not one of the guys that's in your friend group, and that's who they desire to be with.
With you saying that just made me think of the original topic of the culture. The culture within the Nation of Islam is, of course, going to be the complete opposite of what the circular society upheld. So I think with him speaking from that perspective, and I'm sure that it's not that it may not be a vast contrast, right? Because again, we're dealing with emotional, independent people, but yet these people within that culture of the Nation of Islam, they have a standard in which it is that we abide by, point blank, period. You damn near don't see them sitting at the same tables together when they're having dinner, when they're out eating. It's men, women don't walk up and talk to them. It's a completely different structure in
They
which
titties ain't out.
they're covered up, right? So it's a completely different structure than what it is sacrally that we are used to, that they just have a different expectation on both ends.
Hey, y'all
May
have
I
a
just
good
say
night,
this?
I'm about to
Are you
roll.
out?
Yep. Y'all have a good night, brothers. Good
All
point,
right,
Viz.
bro.
Viz,
If I may, I think one of the missteps this brother made, and this is a perspective that many won't share, but I'm coming from a scriptural perspective. This man attempted to deify women, and that's unacceptable. The woman is not God. She's not anything like God. In fact, the scripture says there's none like me, and that was God speaking. So that's a blasphemous point of view. And I reject that point of view, and it's unacceptable. Furthermore, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction keepeth it far away from the child, is what the scripture says. So I always look at individuals from a different perspective. When you're talking about, you guys gave these women a ton of excuses: bipolarism, medical disorders. Well, some women are just downright ungrateful. Some women you just can't satisfy. Some women are just insatiable. Now, I agree wholeheartedly with the perspective of doing everything you can to keep your wife happy, doing everything you can to protect your wife, take care of your children, be a real man, be chivalrous, be loving, be charitable. I agree with all those things wholeheartedly. But where you go wrong is when you remove personal accountability and you say there is no such thing as a no good woman. That is madness. Where's the personal accountability for that person? Where's the accountability at if this person is making wrong decisions? If they out here disrespecting their husband, if they out here not taking care of their children, where's the accountability for that? Marcus, I see you.
Yeah,
What's
so
up? Where is it at?
The Nation of Islam focuses on finding people that have been beaten down, that have been drug addicts, that have been like with Malcolm X. He would be irredeemable at one point. And somebody would have said he was a no good scoundrel who didn't deserve to walk free and should be in jail his whole life. The path of the Nation of Islam is one about redemption. So when he's coming from the perspective of we've taken women that were previously drug addicts who were doing crack when they was pregnant and turned them into solid women. And the programming changes. And I think that's a reflection of the men that they're around, because that programming leads into them being the type of women that they want. Now, to Will's point earlier about the men that are hyper successful within that group, I'll defer that. Yeah, there is some truth to that. However, the thing that I think is most important is it's not the successfulness of those men. It's the vetting or selection and what the respect those men have for themselves and what they would pick. If you're a man, no matter what you make, and you respect yourself, you will not be giving your all, being chivalrous, being willing to protect the bit, and being with the woman who just outright does not respect you doing those things. I find that hard to believe that a man with respect for himself will allow himself to get in a relationship with a woman who just uber disrespects him and does not honor those things. I would think that man that we're discussing would have respect and self-esteem for himself, that he would say, hey, I'd rather be single than deal with some of these issues. And until I find a woman who respects me and moves accordingly, then I'll be single.
Oh, why would
So,
you?
Marcus,
Why would you? Go ahead,
the only
Trev.
thing I would
I
say
don't
about
want to
that,
hog the mic. Go ahead. No Diddy.
All right. The only thing I would say about that is, all right. So if we're talking about how the Muslim faith does, they don't go abducting people, right? It has to be someone with a willing heart to come there. I've seen people turn to Christianity and yield similar results, right? Because they wanted that change. So I think that's the first part of it. It has to be a person who desires it, right? And if they desire a change, they want to grow, then they're already transforming into that type of person, right? They just need the guidance on how it is to do it. And I feel like there's several different ways, right? It could be Christianity, it could be becoming a Muslim, it could be it might not involve religion at all. You just might get with people who are just going to be righteous regardless, right? And show you what things are good. So that's, I think we have to remember that part of it, that the main thing is it was a willing heart.
Yeah, no, so I agree with you, Trev, that could come from anywhere. And I think when people hit rock bottom, that's actually the best opportunity to reshape and remold their thinking. When the world has beat you down to the point where you're looking for any solution, that's when you can step in and put new programming in and say, hey, this is how we're gonna move. Because all the other stuff didn't work for you. And to your point, it could have been Christianity, it could have been a Nation of Islam, it could have been a mentorship group, but that person has to be willing. But my thing in regards to the character of a man, Trev, if I introduce you to a young woman and you're single, and she comes and she is extremely disrespectful, and you know you're doing all the things you should be doing as a man, if you decide to stay with her, wouldn't that say that you don't respect yourself? That there's a character flaw there, that you're allowing someone to come and disrespect you on the regular and take for granted everything that you're trying to do for that woman, and you sit there and you take it and continuously come back?
You on me, Trev.
Yeah, so no matter what, we have to take some onus in what it is that we can, but we just have to also understand you can't relinquish the responsibility from the woman in that case, like how he was saying. There's no such thing as a bad woman. Sounds ridiculous to me. Chicago, really, I don't know if you know if you maybe might have interpreted what he was saying differently, but I don't know. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, he wasn't saying that inherently by them being born that there's no good woman. He's quoting Elijah Muhammad, who essentially was saying every person is redeemable, right? Everyone is redeemable, which is an essential tenet of Christianity, right? So when you think about the women that, because I think you have to compartmentalize. I don't think what Brother Nuri was saying, would apply generally to everybody. The Nation of Islam, those women are in community. And I think Marcus was saying, like, they don't eat. They like when they're in service, the women on one side, the men on the other side. When they do their Bible their studies or whatever, they're everything is separate. So they're in community and they're indoctrinated into that lifestyle. So I didn't get when I first heard that quote from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I thought the same, like, what are you talking about? I know scallywag, skeezers, skip, scop, scabs, all that, Nah, he's saying everyone is redeemed. I think somebody else used the Malcolm X, which we often use, right? But you had tons of you, like the Nation of Islam has a very well demonstrated track record of taking who we would say are the irredeemable of society and turning them into, pretty well-to-do contributors in society. I'm going on mute. I put some stuff in the back too, just really quick. The Proverbs 12:4, which ties into what he's saying. The wife is the crown of her husband, right? Reflection of her husband.
Rilla, when you're talking about when this man says there's no such thing as a no good woman, and any no good woman was made that way by a no good man. I mean, I don't see how you can misinterpret that in any way, shape, or form. That directly actually is contrary and conflicts with scripture, because the scripture says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? There was no distinction made. Well, a man's heart is wicked and a woman's heart is not wicked. So when you say there's no such thing as a no good woman, that's complete malarkey. There are no good people. Hold on one second.
I don't want to repeat it. Okay.
There's no other way to take it except in which it was said. There's no other way to break that down. So when you say there's no such, hold on one second. When you say there's no such thing as a no good woman, that's absolutely impossible.
Okay.
Humans are no good.
Right.
In general.
I think what he was speaking, from with that is innately men lead women, and especially in the Nation of Islam.
Incorrect.
So now let me finish. So if
y'all cut me off.
We
Like,
let you finish, bro. You still going. We let you finish.
Like that's crazy work. Let me finish, but you cut me.
But
go
right,
ahead,
but
bro.
I'll let you finish though. I'll let you finish though.
It's crazy.
And you still. So the thing is, I think where he's coming from is him saying, and especially from the Nation of Islam perspective, is that if men innately are leaders of women, then the only way for that woman to go astray is due to the leadership that she was under while she's out doing whatever ratchet shit it is that she's doing. So I think that's more so the perspective of what it is that where he's coming from in that. Of course, the flesh is weak. The flesh is full of sin, but yet at the same time, it's a factor of the man that is covering this woman at whatever stage, be it a child, be it a teen, be it an adult. At some point, she got led astray in order for her to not be considered a good woman.
According to who and where? How is that logical? How is that even a possibility? How?
Compared to the standards that's set forth by the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, but you keep bringing in
culture.
You keep bringing in the Nation of Islam. Once people are in the nation, they've typically gone through a litmus test and they've typically been reformed. Right? Those sisters that you see walking around are already reformed. So that can't apply. Right? So
how can't that apply if that's their culture, if that's their standard?
That's their culture, right? But to say that there's no such thing as a no good woman, right? And to say that a man likely led her there is nonsense. She made she made her own decisions, and she perpetrated her own behaviors that led her wherever she's at, just like you made your own decisions. You made your own decisions that perpetrated your own behaviors that landed you where you are. In fact, the scripture does say that the head of every woman is the man, but it also says that women are going to be at odds with men and at odds with their children. That's one of the things that happened after the fall. They were actually the first to be deceived, and then she actually deceived the man. So how can it be true that there's no such thing as a no good woman when the woman was the first to actually deceive the man?
Right. You're talking about Eve, right?
So
when you're talking about
that's correct.
Yeah.
So here's
even
the thing. That was a failure of Adam.
Right.
That was a failure of Adam. God gave him a direct link.
I agree.
He said, do XYZ. To be swayed by a subordinate to do something that you were told by the authority figure not to do is a failure of him more so than her. God didn't tell her specifically using this biblical story.
He never said more so, or he never said more or less. It was simply two people who perpetrated a thing, and they each had separate levels of accountability that they have to live up to. He never said you failed more than the woman and you failed more than the man. So you can't throw that caveat in there because you're changing something.
Okay, without changing,
I believe that he told both of them. I think just from the scripture, in my opinion, I think he told both of them. He may have told Adam first because Adam was already there. But if God walked with Adam, and then once he made Eve, to think that he now all of a sudden just stops walking with them, I think that. Well, no, I'm just saying. I know a lot of the argument is that typically in that situation is that God didn't tell Eve as well not to eat of this.
I didn't say
tree.
that. I don't believe that. I didn't say that.
That's what Marcus was getting at.
Oh, I don't know if that's the direction he was going in, but I didn't say anything
So,
like that.
so the way I view leadership is the orders come from up top, and then they matriculate down. So if the order is God, man, woman, child, nature, or beast, then he could have said the order in front of both of them, but it was up to the leader to uphold that. So in
Right.
my view of how I view things, and I'm not gonna say that because you said it's not, I'm not gonna go biblically to debate with somebody on something that's not my forte specifically, right? So the way I view things, though, the person who is the authority figure is held more responsible than the subordinate. The older child is going to be held more responsible than the younger child in any scenario. And this whole time he was talking, I remember something about the dog whisperer. I don't know if you ever heard of the guy. And he'd go to people's houses and they dogs would be completely out of control. I got to get rid of this dog. This dog biting everybody. This dog peeing on the floor. This dog doing XYZ. And what he said is, I don't come to train dogs. I come to train owners. The dogs are a reflection of the owner. And I think that's like a perfect analogy for how leadership works. Like Chick-fil-A is Chick-fil-A because the leadership instructs the employees to operate the way. And Popeyes is Popeyes because the leadership allows them to operate away. You get the same service at each one of those venues across because of certain things like that. So I'm always going to look to the leadership and say, hey, if you put XYZ together, then you either fire and replace till you get a good fit. You don't have XYZ say, nah, fuck it. I'm not going to enforce my boundaries and instructions because the women don't like it or because I don't think that that's adequate for how leadership should work.
I agree, but the thing that we're negating and we're leaving out is this thing called autonomy that these women have. All women have autonomy to do as they please, as they see fit. Now, while there may be repercussions that follow any violations, they have the free will to do whatever they want. So you could call yourself the leadership at as much as you want to. At some point, if there's anarchy on your home, gang, it's going to just be that. And then you're going to be responsible to either put it back in order or let that house break apart and go find something else that's already in order. You feel me? So the leadership is there. Yes, it's been commanded, but that don't mean people going to follow it. We know God is God, but that don't mean people follow him. People violate every day.
I think the default programming of women is different, and the push for equality has made us believe that they have the same autonomy that we naturally operate with, and the same feeling and desire to buck authority that we naturally may have, depending on personality archetype. I think that when it comes to women, their default setting is for them to follow and submit. Now, a lot of things can happen. Back to the point about a man might have caused it. No relationship with that father can create a daughter that's rambunctious and thinks men aren't necessary and thinks she's equal and can fight men and will talk back and do all those things. A woman with a strong father in her life, when you see the results of her, she's going to have a lot easier time being in a relationship and a lot less work for her husband to go through because the father already set those clear examples. So I don't know the situation in every scenario why the father wasn't there, but the crux of that, if you remove me out my home, my daughter might be wild and crazy. With me in this home, they perfectly respectful children. And it translates outside when they go out there. And people constantly come up and say, you have such well-mannered children. And I have never spanked them once.
I mean,
so let me say this real fast.
Go ahead.
Going back and forth. Look, I agree with some of the things that my man was saying in the video. One of the things is being respectful and making sure your woman, your wife, let's be respectful and say that your wife is protected and make sure she's well taken care of. Now, I don't believe in making her a guy-like figure like Mark said. But one thing that was very important to me that I heard in that video was I'm a judge a man based off his wife. I am. Now, tell me I'm wrong for that. I don't give a shit. I'm a judge you based on how your wife acts, move, carry herself, and how she wears her clothes, her attitude. If she got a slick ass mouth, the heifer gets out of line. Yeah, I'm a judge you as a man. Because if she's running you over, you're a weak ass dude to me. Yeah, you ain't got no goddamn, you're a goddamn jellyfish because you ain't got a backbone. So yeah, I'm a judge a man based off his woman. We should. I'll leave it there.
I tried to say that more respectfully for the people but that's essentially what I was.
I just beg the question of if because people change and people have representatives, and I think we could all agree to that. And I'll land it here because I'm sure JR might want to get up out of here. If you have a group of people or a woman, for instance, and she's with her husband and she's had on a representative for the past 3, 4, 5 years, one day that representative comes off, and you happen to meet up with that guy after her representative came off, and she's wilding and doing the most. I mean, what does it matter to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it that you looking at? I'm not condoning that, but I'm just saying if a man's wife, if he's trying to correct her and she won't be corrected, what do you say to that? Because you can't control her. What, you gonna beat her? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not saying to beat no woman.
Question for me, or just in general?
No, just in general, not directed directly for you, but just in general. Like, what do you do in a scenario like that? I mean, it'll be up to him to rectify that and separate if he needs to. But what can you do?
So Mark, with my children,
go ahead, Mark.
No, I was gonna say with my child, I thought that I had to spank my children because I was spanked and hit with all type of shit going on. What I found through talking to my wife mother is that you don't have to. That discipline looks a lot of different ways, and part of giving my daughter like the iPad or things that she liked was so I also have the ability to remove those things to get her in line with the removal of those. So I think I know it doesn't sound like a consequence, but in the vetting stage, you have to be worth your woman wanting to change her behavior to be with you in whatever that scenario is. Not saying she's bad, but if she does have behaviors you don't like or you don't find acceptable, if she's not willing to change those behaviors to be with you in a relationship, you should not be in a relationship with her. Because, and even if she bring a representative, that representative would have had to change those behaviors. And if you let's say she's pretending to be that person for 3 years, it only takes 60 to 90 days to build a habit. Eventually that will probably become her if she's pretending well enough. So yeah, I'm sorry, you got me now.
No, you good. Go ahead, JR. You don't.
Yeah, I was going to ask Marcus, would you say the same thing for a man that's married? Would you advise him if his wife switch up on him, they should leave the marriage?
I wasn't necessarily advocating for just walking away and leaving. So let me be clear. I was saying by being of value to that person, right? You have a litany of things that you can remove and explain why you remove them. Hey, I take out the garbage every day. I try and be thoughtful because of XYZ. You are refusing to do XYZ. I'm taking my whatever service that is, whatever love that is, whatever value that I provide that benefits you, I'm gonna remove it because I will not be in a relationship getting ran over and giving you everything you want and then you just taking advantage and running over me. We gonna have to figure this out if we got kids, but if it ain't no kids, I'm not staying in that relationship. I'm gonna keep it a baby. I refuse. If it's kids, I'll figure out a way. You know what I'm saying? I made the mistake in being in a relationship with somebody I should not have been. So now I got a long road of work to do. Whether it's if she don't listen to me, I'm gonna find therapy. We're gonna find a way to make this shit work.
Marcus, that's the part we're talking about, though. That's the part we're talking about. That's most of the scenarios, right? The part that was a lot more difficult to articulate how to navigate through that. So that's what most people's instance is. They already in a situation. It's not like, because the vetting and all of that shit is too late. They pops, they uncle, nobody pulled their coat. They didn't know what was up. They went into a relationship with good faith. Didn't realize you had to have game. Didn't realize you had to do vetting. They just said, oh, I like this person like me or love me, whatever. Let's make it happen. And then they run into these issues later on, not knowing all of this. People don't sign up for marriage and all of that stuff, understanding that these are the risks. They go into it blindly, like just how when people want to buy a house, they'll take a mortgage rate that's too high or jump into a Hellcat, knowing that it's going to be $2,000 for the payment and another $800.
In those cases, Trev, I would start reading books on like basic human psychology, so you can understand how to read certain scenarios, because you may not be catching social cues that's creating conflict within a relationship, because she may be expecting something or thinking something, and you all can't communicate effectively. I'll be reading books on leadership, how to ensure that the message that I'm giving is being heard and effectively received, so the expectation can be understood. And then I would make sure I'm providing the value that, if taken away, would be missed. If you can't get it right with those three things and you don't have kids, you should not be in that relationship.
No, but that's the thing too. A lot of them already got kids, and that's devastating. So now, what are you gonna do? Do you want to create another broken home? And that's the main point that I was talking about. Like, people are leveraging your future, pension, 401k, life savings, and children, right? So it's like, well, damn, and she don't give a fuck because she already knows she got that. So a lot of things that you may try to say will be in one ear, out the other, and that's the hamster wheel that a lot of cats find themselves in.
So Trey, typically with women, I've heard men say that.
I think somebody. Go ahead, Marcus. You gonna finish up?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I've heard men say some of the things that the women just did XYZ. Well, women, they be complaining and they'll try and talk to you about something till they get frustrated and fed up. I think that whatever that thing was, you really needed to sit down and have an intentional conversation about how to try and get to a solution. Because unless she just found you as a lick and you was just paying her bills and she got married to keep getting her bills paid or something crazy like that, if the woman actually liked you or loved you at one point in time, there was a point when that thing went off the road. I would say it's purposeful to go back to figure out what that is through communication and just searching the relationship and trying to get back to that space.
So to answer the question is that goes back to, I think, what the minister was saying in there. If you see a bad woman, then you got to look at that man. So with that being said, if that woman was comfortable enough to publicly humiliate you in public, this ain't her first time. It might not even be her second time. She did it in private. So right then and there, why did you marry her? She did this before she married you. More than likely. I find it hard to believe that she didn't make a public scene or act the food in. So right then and there, if you marry that woman knowing she's moving and operating like that, shame on you fellas for doing that. You made a bad investment, a goddamn money pit investment. So you got to look at yourself. But now, hopefully, if we all did our job, do what we need to do, she's a woman who understands. Then you can have a conversation with her. She's reasonable. And you could let it be known, hey, I find that to be very disrespectful. So this can't never happen again. I don't care how upset you are. I don't care how pissed you are. I don't care if you like the situation. If you're that mad, then don't go. Stay your ass home. If you're that mad and you don't feel like you can control or contain yourself, stay your ass home. I'll be okay. So that's what I would do in that situation. But that's just my opinion. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you, Hank. And I was gonna say, crazy don't have no don't pick and choose. If the girl just uncontrollable, she uncontrollable everywhere. If she can control it sometimes and then choose not to be controllable at other times, she is believing that it's acceptable in some way, shape, or form, or has reached the point where she has such little respect for you that she will try and do those things. That's why I'm saying go back to figure out where it was if you got kids, and if you don't, you need to leave her alone.
And then one last thing before we get up out of here, man, just pay attention to that consistency. If somebody is not consistent in their life, they won't be consistent in their marriage or the relationship. With that, one more super sticker came through for Brano. The $5 super sticker. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Much love. And thank you for your constant support. I do see you and I notice it as well. If you guys enjoyed the show, hit the like button on your way out. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Catch us next Tuesday. Same time, same place. I want to appreciate the panel. Make sure you follow these people and their IGs, these men on the panel. Make sure you follow their IGs, the YouTube channels. Let's make sure we support each other the same way that you guys show support here. And on that note, we out, man. Thank you, guys. See you next time.